I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Just after midnight, delayed tariffs are set to kick in for multiple countries, but some negotiations continue, including with U.S. trading partners that have other rates already.
Following a phone call with Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum, President Trump says he'll keep tariff rates in place for the next 90 days. In a Truth Social post, the president says the complexities of a deal with Mexico are different than other nations because of the border.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. For now, tariffs on some Mexican goods will stay at 25%, with 50% on steel, aluminum, and copper. Mexico, though, is portraying today's conversation as a win. The Trump administration points to a possible Clinton connection in previously classified data now given to a Senate panel from a special counsel's investigation into the FBI's Russia probe.
The Department of Justice transmitted the now declassified appendix of the Durham report to the Senate Judiciary Committee. Attorney General Pam Bondi said this information details the possible coordination between the Clinton campaign and the Obama administration to interfere with the 2016 presidential election. The Durham investigation looked into the origins of the FBI investigation into accusations the Trump campaign coordinated with Russia before the 2016 election. It was the Mueller report that found no such coordination. Durham's investigation resulted in charges against 3 people. 2 of whom were acquitted at trial. The other pled guilty and was put on probation.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. The Trump administration says an Obama administration conspiracy led to a false narrative on Russian collusion with the Trump campaign, which former President Obama has denied. NASA scrubbing a launch that was supposed to happen in the past hour. An international crew of 4 heading to the International Space Station. Bad weather in Florida forcing a scrub of today's SpaceX launch. They plan to try again late tomorrow morning Eastern time. If not then, there's another window on Saturday. America is listening to Fox News.
You hear that? That's Mike sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. That's because Mike was smart this time. He took ZQL Ultra to fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and get the deeply restorative sleep he needs. So now he wakes up refreshed and ready to conquer Mondays.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Ultra. Not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Still unsettled skies, a mix of clouds and sunshine going through the afternoon, and there will be a couple of scattered showers. 82 for the high. Tonight, partly to mostly cloudy, 64. A top 10 weather day on Friday. Lots of sunshine, wonderful. Low humidity, 79. Weekend is spectacular. Saturday, sunny near 80, so mainly in the 70s. Sunday, sunny and 82. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live, sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. If you need a new air conditioner installed this summer, call a company you can trust to install your AC properly. That will get your home cool and comfortable fast. For a free estimate on a new air conditioner, visit aircomfortservice.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Oh, yeah, this is the moment you have been waiting for.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom.
Annie's out. Ryan and Brad are in.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
This is the Mannie Frey Show.
Well, I hope that some of you hear that and you go, oh, okay, and not just like, oh, Annie's out again. Yes, she is. She's still got laryngitis. We do believe that she's going to have enough voice to be back tomorrow, but we were hoping for that today. But here we are, still the B team filling in for Annie. We are the Mannie Frey Show. I'm Ryan Wiggins, Brad Range, Ethan Hannaford. All will be your hosts today. Let's start with the big fight between a local guy, Josh Hawley, and the President of the United States, that is Donald Trump. You don't usually hear that those two are fighting, but they are, and it's over this topic.
And so when you look at what members of Congress are privy to, what they are able to trade on, the access that they have, it's just qualitatively different than your average Joe or Jane, which is why we ought to put into place common sense guardrails that say, if you want to be a member of Congress, you can put you want to save, great. You can buy mutual funds, you can buy broadly diversified investment vehicles. You should not be able to buy and trade individual stock shares in which, frankly, we have an interest in the work that we do. We have information that no other people get, no other members of the public have. This bill would finally redress that.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody disagrees with that other than maybe the president, but I don't think it's actually the president disagreeing. In fact, I've read his comments, disagreeing with the overarching statements that Hawley is making there, that Congress has a lot of information that the average person doesn't have. So the question is, what should be done about it? Because we all, I think, hopefully both sides of the aisle, agree that you shouldn't have this insider trading that Congress can do. It's technically legal because insider trading doesn't apply to Congress in this way. It's very, the laws are written in such a way that Congress can kind of weasel out of them. So Hawley is addressing that head on. Hawley, for all of his sake, is really doing an image remake, in my opinion. Maybe that's not the Hawley camp's position on it, but he has shifted from being, to me, a very traditional, maybe even MAGA-style conservative to now more of a populist.
Yeah, he's definitely going populism.
In the last 6 months, and some of it's cool. Some of it, I hear him grilling airlines and being like, hey, can you tell us exactly how you come up with your baggage fees? And they're like, no. You're like, yeah, go Josh Hawley. And grilling credit cards for predatory practices. That's the kind of stuff that I'm like, yeah, man, go for it. But when he's saying $600 rebate checks because we're getting tariffs and we're $37 trillion in debt, I'm like, But I do think that there's a really good debate happening here on this topic with insider stock trading. Here's a little bit more about what he's seen on the inside from Congress, even around COVID and the stock trading that took place in that era.
Sometimes people say, well, we already have insider trading laws. We don't need a stock ban. Well, the information that members of Congress are privy to is technically not covered by the insider trading laws, but nobody really believes that the information that we get isn't valuable. It is quite valuable, which is why back during COVID, you saw members of Congress of both parties engage in a flurry of stock trading right after they were getting COVID briefings. Were members of the public getting those briefings? They were not. Were members of the public privy to the kind of information that was being given to members of Congress? No, they were not.
Ooh, and who's the worst offender? It's the one we all know, Nancy Pelosi. But it's not just Nancy Pelosi, it's her husband. And so there's a lot more to that story because there's spouses involved. Here's the thing, though. Hawley is now drawn the ire of President Trump, but not just President Trump. Other Republicans in Congress like Rick Scott.
My amendment is to get a review of all the trading by Nancy Pelosi and her husband for the last 25 years. I think it's critical to get to the root of why this bill was proposed and get transparency for the American people. I think, I agree that we've got to figure out, why people don't trust. And I think Speaker Pelosi is the prime example. So this amendment calls for an inspector general to issue a GAO report on the Pelosi trading for the last 25 years with a report back to the committee within 180 days. I urge my colleagues to support my amendment.
Okay, so that's Rick Scott. He's from Florida. These are all senators, Josh Hawley, Rick Scott, senators. They are debating this right now, and this is, I think it's called the Pelosi Act, actually, which is funny. I think they came up with an acronym somehow to make it Pelosi, and who's, of course, not in the Senate. She's in the House, but this would apply to any lawmaker. It would apply to Congress in general, Senate, House, and President and Vice President. And that's why Trump has been weighing in. I pulled that clip because that is Republican Rick Scott posting from his own account what he wants you to know that he's doing instead of what Josh Hawley's doing. Now, if you're wanting context here, Josh Hawley is actually siding with mostly Senate Democrats on this. So it's unusual. It's why it's very interesting, because why is he siding with Democrats? Or at least what common ground have they found on this Pelosi Act, who is a Democrat? It's very odd, right? So I'm walking you through this because you gotta understand the different factions, different angles people are coming at this. Rick Scott is saying, don't do it that way. In fact, do it this other way. I've proposed an amendment that will go after people who do this. So, yes, we don't like what Pelosi has done. How about we just go after Pelosi instead of making the whole thing illegal? That was his cultivated clip that he posted on his account. Here's what Democrats are posting that he also said in that hearing.
So this idea that we're going to attack people because they make money is wrong. Is absolutely wrong. We should cherish all of our different backgrounds. Every one of us has a different background. I've got a business background. But what I was just accused of is making money, and somehow I can't be fair and do things the right way. So I think it's disgusting what is going on here.
He does not want this act to
Was
pass.
that a Democrat?
No, that was Rick Scott.
That was Rick Scott.
That was
Okay.
Rick Scott. Now, that's not the clip he posted, but that is what he said.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what that's the 20-second clip that Democrats are posting saying, look, he's trying to be above the law. He doesn't want accountability. In a sense, that's true. He does not want this to pass. And they're saying, well, it's because he's so rich. He's one of the richest members of Congress. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's, are you doing insider stock trading? His argument is they shouldn't pass this because we should be able to self-police. Do you think that passes muster, Brad Range?
No, it doesn't. I mean, I've had solutions for this too, because I get where some of these congressmen are coming from. You're living in D.C. and you have to have a home in your home district. So you got to pay to live in D.C., which I found out when I was out there is incredibly expensive. Like one of the most expensive places to live is in, I think, Langley, Virginia, right across the river in Virginia. But like where you live in D.C. is super expensive, and you have to be able to afford that. Well, if you're not allowed to trade stock, then you have to be able to make enough money to survive while you're out there. And I know everybody's listening going, well, what do you mean survive? And it's like, you still got to pay rent. You know, there's stories about the congressmen and women, sharing offices and stuff like this. So my solution is this. Whenever we abolish the Department of Education, we turn that into a dorm for Congress.
I've heard you say that before. That's a creative solution. So Rick Scott is against it. Hawley is for it. Mostly Democrats are for it in this form. Generally, though, Republicans are all for banning stock trading. The devil's in the details. They can't figure out how to do it because there's so many workarounds. We mentioned Pelosi. We mentioned Paul Pelosi. Nancy, I think, has come out recently and said, look, I haven't traded stocks in years.
My husband has, but
she won't say that part. She won't say that part, but Paul Pelosi will. So why wouldn't you just use your spouse? I think if you pass this law, you would see a lot of spouses getting in on the stock game real fast.
Yeah.
But here's Trump on this topic.
I like it conceptually, and Nancy Pelosi became rich by having inside information. She made a fortune with her husband, and I think that's disgraceful. So in that sense, I'd like it, but I'd have to really see I study these things very carefully, and this just happened. So I'll take a look at it. But conceptually, I like it. And what I do think is Nancy Pelosi should be investigated because she has the highest return of anybody practically in the history of Wall Street, save a few. How did that happen? It happened by she knows exactly what's going to happen, what's going to be announced. She buys stock, and then the stock goes up after the announcement's made. And she ought to be investigated.
That was Calm Trump. That was Calm Trump talking about the topic. Apparently, he, after this, went and read this bill and then got on Twitter. And he goes, very much like sabotage the Democrats because of our tremendous achievements and success. Some of those words are capitalized, have been trying to target me for a long period of time, and they're using Josh Hawley, who I got elected twice, as a pawn to help them, Trump groused on Truth Social. I don't think real Republicans want to see their president, who has unprecedented success, targeted because of the whims of a second-tier senator named Josh Hawley. So these are strange times making strange bedfellows because usually Hawley and Trump agree. I mean, even Trump is a populist in a lot of ways. So, there's a rift here, and it's all in the details. And so I kept digging, trying to find, well, what are the details? What is Hawley so confident in that if they pass this, that it will stop? What is Rick Scott so adamant against in this? I think it's that he would personally not be able to trade stocks anymore. And he's like, well, that's a freedom issue. I understand the argument, but I don't think self-police has worked so far. So what else is there to this? Because there's other Republicans than Rick Scott, although he's been very vocal. What about Rand Paul? He's a stalwart on these kinds of things. I could see him going either way. Couldn't you? Yeah. On this kind of issue, he either would be like, absolutely, there's so much rampant fraud and misconduct with people using their positions of authority and insider information that we should ban it. He also could say, no, this won't work. And here's the side that he landed on. He landed on, this won't work, but it's a completely different reason than Rick Scott.
Future presidents wouldn't be allowed to own things. So if Donald Trump were the next president, which, some say he might run for a third term, but he would be forced to divest everything. He would have to sell all of his possessions. And I think Donald Trump's got a complicated, probably financial empire. And a lot of people just wouldn't want to sell it or get involved with all of that. You also don't want to sell it during a downturn. There's a lot of reasons it would discourage successful people. And I frankly think that some of the success of Donald Trump being president is that he was used to the world of high finance, used to making deals with large amounts of money. Yep. And I don't think we want to discourage people like that from holding office.
So I thought that was a great cap to this whole discussion. Rand Paul coming in from the top rope and saying, look, I don't think people are getting the gist of why this is happening. Why are Democrats getting behind this bill? Why would Democrats get behind a bill called the Pelosi Act, which is clearly targeting Pelosi, even though she's in the House and they're in the Senate? I get that. But why would they get behind this at all? Well, it looks to me like Rand Paul's got the nail on the head here, that they're trying to discourage business people from running for office. If you know anything about the populist left, the Bernie Sanders left, they want completely public funded elections. They want all of these things to be funded by the taxpayer to get money out of it. Now that's an interesting conversation to be had, but that's what this apparently, according to Ron Paul, will do, is you'll get a lot of business people who'd look at public office, and this is probably across the whole country, not just in federal office. My guess is this would apply to, well, any federal office across the entire country, yeah. That if you had a lot of money, you'd have to really change what you owned to ever run. And that would discourage a lot of business people. A lot of business people, a lot of Republicans. I think we're getting to the root of the problem here. So, love to know what you think about this topic. And if you want to talk to either of us or Annie Frey, who's in the chat right now, you can log on to YouTube and type in Annie Frey Show, and you can talk to us there. We're going to talk about the YouTube live chat poll in a little bit too. But first, let's talk to Hans von Spakovsky, catch up on everything legal, including where is Obamagate right now. We'll do that next.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon with news for listeners who, like me, want to learn more about Bitcoin. Bitcoin Ben's Crypto Club is coming to St. Louis later this summer. The Bitcoin Ben Crypto Clubs teach members what Bitcoin is, how to buy it, how to safely store it, and how to avoid scams. And we'll connect with others like us who want to learn more about crypto. St. Louis will be the 7th club nationwide and Ben's hometown. If you want to know more about Bitcoin, you need to know Bitcoin Ben. Learn more at bitcoinben.io. That's bitcoinben.io.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. If you or anyone in your family has been injured in a car accident, call us now, as the time to file a claim may be limited. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before, protecting America, fighting for you. Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort, offering small ship experiences with a shore excursion included in every port and programs designed for cultural enrichment. Discover more at Viking.com. That's Viking.com.
Live, local, and conservative. It's the Annie Frey Show. 97.1 FM Talk.
So here's my question. What will you do to fight back? Meet outrage
with organizing. Meet mass deportations with mass mobilizations. Overcome the distractions with demonstrations. Do everything you can so that 30 years from now, Latinos in America can look back to this moment as the reason they got involved. It starts with us. And I look forward to fighting each and every day alongside all of you.
We the people of the United States,
More perfect.
in order to form a more perfect union.
Heritage legal expert Hans von Spakovsky.
Hans, thank you for being here. Democrats repeat their despicable history of encouraging defiance of federal laws is your latest article, and it's about this topic right here. Hans, thanks for being here.
Yeah, no, it's talking about illegal aliens and the way they keep defending allowing illegal aliens in the country, obstructing enforcement. They keep talking about labor. They keep talking about, well, we need these illegals to do our gardens, to till our fields, etc. I mean, those are exactly the same arguments that slave owners used before the Civil War to defend slavery. And I don't see much difference. In fact, the rhetoric is often very much the same. And Southern slave owners also, and their Democratic representatives, engage in the same kind of, we need to stop federal enforcement. We need to obstruct federal enforcement. I don't see much difference between what they were doing and what they're trying to do today.
Yeah, Hans, we know they're trying to influence public opinion. They're losing on that issue.
Right.
They're trying through the courts, though, too. The first 6 months of Trump's term, they have done everything legally possible. Are they winning battles there?
Well, they are at the district court levels. They're doing that by going to liberal judges in just a handful of districts, and almost all these folks are Biden appointees. But they are tending to lose when the Justice Department, under Pam Bondi, appeals these cases. In the last 2 months, the U.S. Supreme Court on emergency appeals has issued stay after stay after stay. And look, these federal judges now are so extreme that this week, even the Washington Post, if you can believe it, the Washington Post came out with an editorial condemning a Biden appointee in Massachusetts who had said that the big beautiful bill, which cut funding to Planned Parenthood, that Congress couldn't do that. That Trump couldn't sign a bill like that. They had to keep funding. In other words, interfering with Congress's constitutional right to decide how to spend federal money and who they're going to give it to. Even the Washington Post was condemning this judge. And it just goes to show, a broken clock is right at least once a day. And here the Washington Post was correct about that.
The broken clock of the Washington Post. Hans, I'm glad you brought that up, because yesterday I was sitting in my office with one Mark Cox, who you probably also know.
Oh, yeah.
And he was looking at an article, and I can't even remember the topic, but what he said was, there was another nationwide injunction just released. I thought the Supreme Court stopped this stuff. I figured it'd be a good opportunity to ask you, why are we still seeing something? I don't know if they're still called nationwide injunctions or if they're just using different language to issue nationwide impact rulings after the Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that.
Well, because the Supreme Court left a huge hole in their ruling on that. And it was one that Justice Alito mentioned. He said, okay, yeah, we've said universal injunctions are not appropriate, but they are okay under one specific circumstance. And that is if the judge certifies what's called a class action lawsuit. To do that, to recognize an entire group of people as a class worthy of getting a remedy like that, there are very strict rules that have to be applied. Well, what all these judges are doing, the same ones who've been issuing these injunctions, is they're not following the rules. They're just willy-nilly saying, oh, yep, it's a class, so I can still issue a nationwide injunction. And this isn't going to stop until the Supreme Court steps in again and does what it should have done in that prior decision, the way Justice Alito said, we should have dealt with that particular loophole too.
Hans, we're kind of talking about processes here, so I get if people
That's
are
right.
like, well, I don't know, but I still would like to know because it impacts everything.
That's right.
These things will still work their way to the Supreme Court, I assume.
Yes, they will, because every time the court has issued an emergency stay, what they're saying is there's no injunction while this case works its way through the court. And so, for example, when they recently said, and they issued a stay on a lower court decision that had said, well, you can't fire anybody at the U.S. Department of Education, the court wasn't saying that it was legitimate to do that the president had the power. But what they said was, for now, he can fire people at the Department of Education while the courts are determining whether he actually has the power to do that. I think eventually he's going to win on all of these issues.
He's winning. I mean, I follow it not quite as closely as you do, of course, but the headlines I'm seeing all look like so far what Trump is doing is being declared, yes, legal over and over.
Yeah, no, that's correct. But it's happening at the higher courts, not only the courts of appeal, but mostly the Supreme Court. And look, it makes perfect sense because what's happening with all these lower court judges is they're trying to say that the chief executive constitutionally doesn't have the powers of a chief executive, which makes no sense constitutionally and also defies common sense.
It also makes them a higher authority than the president in a sense, right?
That is exactly right. And in fact, that was one of the points that the Washington Post made about this judge in Massachusetts apparently thinking she's got more power than Congress when it comes to deciding who to fund.
Hans, let's shift gears and talk a little bit about, it was a little over a week ago, I think it was last Wednesday, that DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, went before, well, I think the press briefing room. She had done it a couple of days before this, but she went before the press briefing room and kind of explained what we're now calling Obamagate, I guess, in that Obama and his top intelligence officials appear to have altered all of their own findings to smear or frame Trump coming into office in 2017. What does the process, now that she's given that over to the DOJ and referred it for criminal prosecution,
right?
What happens now?
Well, she said she's setting up a strike force. What that means is they're going to pull in experienced lawyers from different offices within justice that have experience in this. So that'll mean, for example, folks from the criminal division, also folks from the National Intelligence Division, and they're going to comb through what she's turned over and see if there's additional evidence that is needed to decide whether these folks can be prosecuted. Their job just got a lot more complicated because, as you know, just a day or so ago, Kash Patel at the FBI said they discovered a secret room in which they found all these burn bags. Burn bags are bags that are filled with classified documents that are supposed to be destroyed. And apparently, the leaderships wanted these documents, which apparently are all tied to the Russia collusion hoax, to Operation Cross. They wanted them destroyed. And somebody who is an unknown hero at the FBI, instead of sending them off-site to get burned and destroyed, put them secretly away in a room, locked the door, and now we have this additional evidence. So they're going to have to comb through all this and see, one, are there criminal statutes under which these folks can be prosecuted? And second, have the statutes of limitations, have they expired, or can they be stretched out for various reasons?
I'm so glad that you just said that because I read that story yesterday. It was kind of breaking yesterday afternoon. And I thought, the first thing I thought when I read it was, well, if they're in burn bags and they were tending to be burned, why weren't they burned? It's because you're saying somebody was responsible for that and said, oh, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to hide them.
That's right. That's exactly right. That person, he ought to get, if they discovered who it is, he ought to get a big promotion at the FBI for basically doing what I consider to be the honorable thing and preserving evidence of wrongdoing at the highest levels of the U.S. government.
Hans, before we run out of time with you, Annie is not sick. She just doesn't have a voice. And so we've been filling in for her until she can get over laryngitis. And she's in the chat, though. She's participating with us here. And she asked a question that I'm just going to refer back to you now, which is how much progress has the Trump administration made rooting out the deep staters in the DOJ and the investigative departments? How successful have they been in getting rid of these people who are working against them?
Well, the biggest progress they've made is that all these people, for example, inside the Justice Department, all these lawyers have quit on their own because they've said they don't want to work for Trump. I've seen the list of names, and I know who many of these people are because I encountered them years ago at the Justice Department. And every time I see them, I'm going, thank goodness, finally they're gone. And one of the particular sections I know lots about because I used to work there, used to have about 50 lawyers. So many of them have quit that there's only 3 left.
Wow.
Which to me is just great because they were some of the most biased partisan lawyers I've ever had to deal with. And the fact they're no longer at the U.S. Justice Department is a good thing for the American people.
That is good because that's another thing that Tulsi Gabbard has said, and this was probably a month or so ago, that part of some of these things are taking longer than they should because you have the administrative state that they are now the top of, but they go to and say, hey, give me this. And they just drag their feet and they take forever.
Right.
And some of them, it didn't sound like maybe they're doing it nefariously, but that's just the way things are. And it sounds like some of them are just leaving, so that's good news. Last question for you here, Hans. I keep saying last question. We'll see. Maybe this won't be. But how long will this take? Because everybody wants to see justice, and especially those who've been on this topic for a long time, since 2017, saying, man, this is ridiculous. How long will this investigation take, the strike force, to see something come about that everybody goes, okay, finally, we're seeing it?
Well, it really depends on 2 things. One, how many lawyers they can pull in from the various departments inside DOJ to look at this. And look, I haven't seen those burn bags, but the reports are that there are literally thousands of documents in there. You think about how long it's going to take to review those, to find what evidence it is there. So anybody expects a result next week, that's not going to happen. I hope they work on it quickly, but they've got a lot of things to review. And like I said, those latest findings by Kash Patel have really complicated their job.
You know how I said that was the last question and I said it might not be? It wasn't. So then last one. Will this all be done in Washington, D.C.? Does that complicate this because it's all D.C. courts going to be having to look at this?
Well, I think all the materials, all the documents, everything are in Washington. So it'll be the main office of the Justice Department that'll be looking at this. They might pull in people from U.S. attorneys' offices and other parts of the country. I suspect that if they decide prosecution is warranted, they'll try to avoid D.C. and file across the Potomac River in Virginia. They used to do that with terrorism cases because they knew that DC juries were so bad. Mm-hmm. So they would always go to Virginia to file terrorism cases during, for example, the Bush administration.
Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye out and we'll keep talking to you, Hans, as we do every week. Thanks.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
All right. We are going to take a quick break. I don't even know if we've mentioned the poll. We're about to. We'll do the time check Brad will do here. He's going to mention this. But the poll is, should Missouri redraw its congressional districts to be more favorable to Republicans? Couple options there. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to set an appointment here with you a little bit. It's out there, though, 2:03. So come back at 2 o'clock if you can't be here for the whole show. Be sure to be here at 2 because we're going to talk with Steve Cortes about this topic, not just for Missouri, but for every state. This guy knows a lot. We're going to dig into how this could play out. What's the legality of it? What's the timeline? How will it impact the midterms? And, of course, how will Missouri play into that? Will Missouri play into that? I'm fascinated by this topic. If you are too, be here at 2 o'clock for Steve Cortes. We're going to take a short break and come right back with Bob and Tammy Kershaw, the Retirement Advisory Group. Stick around.
Like I said before, tariffs had absolutely zero effect on our equipment pricing. No manufacturer raised their prices. What has affected the pricing is the previous 4 years of these ridiculous mandates. I mean, I say ridiculous, it's shameful. But that being said, if you're told that you need a new system, or your air conditioner is bad, or you're looking to replace your system, if you want a common sense approach which works for you, your family, and your budget. When I say your budget, it never is what you want it to be on this equipment, but common sense approach, 15, 20 minutes of your time, and explain to you your options. No Kool-Aid being handed out. I'm Bart Inman. That's Bart with a B, Inman with an I. The easiest way to get a hold of me with the easiest number, Missouri and Illinois, there's only one, 314-293-2600. Remember, 0% financing is available for most up to 60 months. Fantastic deal. God bless.
That baby's gone! Cardinals fans, FanDuel Sports Network is your home of the Cardinals. That ball was mashed. And there are more ways to watch this season. Holy cow! Subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network to stream the Cardinals without blackouts. How about that play? Or watch through a TV provider. Incredible! Including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more. He got it! Learn more at cardinals.com/TV. Ball game! It couldn't have worked out any better for the Cardinals.
Today's YouTube live chat poll: should Missouri redraw its congressional districts to be more favorable to Republicans? We got three options for you. Yes, now. Yes, after the next census. Or no, don't do it. Jump on Annie's YouTube page, youtube.com/@AnnieFrey, Fry spelled with an E. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. It is 12:36.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
JerryKelly.com.
Fox News National, St. Louis Local, 97.1 FM Talk.
Bob and Tammy Kershaw from the Retirement Advisory Group are here, and I was apologizing that Annie is not here to talk to you guys because she's going to be at your event on Tuesday. She will be, yes. But before we get into the event, I will say that she actually is here. She's with us in spirit and in digital fashion. She's actually saying, "Hi, Bob and Tammy," in all caps in our chat online. So hello from Annie.
Hi, Annie. Looking forward to seeing you next week.
Yes, so, hopefully you're feeling better soon.
So she's going to be there Tuesday night. I am coming in fresh. I've heard you guys talk about this, of course.
Yes.
But I'm going to come at this like I've never been to an event, which is who you're talking to. If you've never been to one of these events before, that is who's invited. But why should I come to an event, which is Tuesday, and what do I hear about?
So first off, it's Tuesday, August the 5th at 6:30 p.m. at the St. Louis Hilton Frontenac. We only keep you there for an hour. You got Annie, Mark Cox, all them come. We have a little bit of fun at first, of course, do a little bit of trivia, and then we only talk about 45 minutes. We can get you in and out. But most importantly, what we're going to do is educate you on how you can link to the market. When you link to the market, you don't have to worry about losing a penny of your principal. We're proud to say in 39 years we've never lost a penny of our clients' money because they follow our advice on linking to the market where you can get market gains. Just don't have to risk your principal doing it. And then more importantly, I'll let Tammy get into what a lot of people don't realize when they're nearing their retirement.
They don't realize is they need a income plan, because it is essential when you're in retirement to get an income plan, and we will provide that for you just to make sure you can have a secure retirement and make sure you don't run out of money. Everyone wants to know, how much money am I going to have in retirement? Is it going to last me for the rest of my life, right? So we will show you that with that income plan. We'll put that together for you.
I would say 90% of the people that we talk to that are 59 and a half or older that are already retired or near retirement have never been offered or have never looked and had set up for them a personalized structured income plan. They don't realize the importance of it. Right. So not only are we going to get into that, but we also get into, guys, to show how much fees. A lot of people don't realize that on an average brokerage account or IRA that they're paying about 2 to 4% in fees, and on a 401k, 403b, they're paying 3 to 5%. So what we're also going to do is we're going to show you how to eliminate those fees. Keep that money in your pocket. Let your retirement go a whole lot further.
So in what life phase do you recommend coming to your seminar? Like what age, where are you at?
When you're 59 and a half or older, you're able to roll over your company 401k, things like that. IRAs you can roll over at any age. And folks, if you just happen to have a 401k or 403b with a previous company that you're no longer with and you're not quite 59 and a half, that's okay. We're able to help you with those also.
Yes.
It sounds to me like what you're offering in a lot of ways is peace of mind.
That's exactly
because
it.
there's so many ups and downs to the market that something comes out one day, and it's always something that you can never predict. It is. Everything could be fine, and then tomorrow one person says the wrong word in Pakistan, and all of a sudden the market's going, ah!
It all goes.
And we don't have to worry about it.
And markets do not like uncertainty, and that's what's happening.
So I have a question. Can
Yes.
people who have recently retired benefit from this?
Absolutely. Anybody. Yes. It's very important. Even if you're happy where you're at and you show up and you know what, you're going to leave with more knowledge before you came, and you're going to know that there's other options out there. We don't pressure anybody. We just let you know what your options are.
So and to piggyback onto that,
Yeah.
so if you live in a household, my wife and I have an age gap.
Mm-hmm.
If one of us is retired and the other one isn't and still wanting to work, or if you're both of retirement age and one person just wants to keep working, is this a seminar appropriate for them too?
It's perfect
Absolutely.
for them.
That's a great question, and it will help you out for sure.
People, here's one thing that I've learned from meeting you guys, hearing about these events for quite a while now. People who come, they like what they hear, and they walk away going, yeah, I want to be a part of that.
Everybody does. It's just to know. People don't realize when you're younger, Wall Street's fine. You have time to ride those ups and downs. That's what you're doing. You're riding a Wall Street roller coaster every day. You guys are getting up, looking at the market, going, "Oh no, what's my 401k down today?" That's stressful. Nobody wants to do that. If you know that you can have safe money and that when you do retire, that money's going to be there for you, that's huge. Just like you said, Ryan, that's peace of mind, and that's what people want.
So Tuesday night, 6:30.
Yes, Tuesday nights at 6:30 p.m. at the St. Louis Hilton Frontenac. You can call us at 314-993-9494, or you can go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Retirementkey.com. And just a reminder, if you want to hang out with Annie Frey, she'll be there too. She'll be there at 6 o'clock if you want to. You know what's going to be weird? If she doesn't have her voice back by then, you'll be able to shake her hand, and you'll just be able to tell her anything you want, and she'll have to listen. There's nothing she can do.
She'll try to respond, but
we hope she's back tomorrow. I think we're on the path to recovery, so we hope to have Annie back tomorrow, and she will be full voiced probably by Tuesday.
Hopefully,
if she's not, we've got a lot of stuff for her to say.
Okay,
I'm joking.
You just keep feeding cookies. All right, we'll be right back again with Wiggins America. We're going to do a little bit different Wiggins America than we usually do. Sometimes we have Ethan lead it. Sometimes I'll still lead it. We're going to do it by committee because it's a really strange story that Brad has presented. So stick around for that coming up next on The Annie Frey Show.
Let's show our appreciation for local heroes. Mark Cox here. Nominate a first responder and their department could get lunch from Grill Master Tony's. I'll personally deliver it. Share their story at 971talk.com. Nominate them today.
Imagine this, a summer evening, relaxing under a beautiful porch overhang, hosting your friends on a composite deck, or enjoying a bug-free breeze in a screened room. That sounds dreamy, right? Hi, it's Kim, and that dream can be your reality with Lakeside Renovation and Design because they specialize in creating outdoor spaces that make your backyard the go-to spot for family and friends. And with their attention to detail and the high-quality materials they use, you'll have a space that lasts for years. Visit lakesideRD.com today to get started on your outdoor oasis.
Stop everything you're doing right now and ask yourself, are you currently receiving steady paychecks? What about when you're retired? Will you receive a monthly check to cover your expenses and also have some fun? Marvin Mitchell and the team at Compass Retirement Solutions calls this mailbox money. It's a monthly check you'll receive throughout retirement. They don't want you to worry about if the money will show up or how much money you'll receive. The only thing they want you to think about is how to spend it when it arrives. Find out how to get enough money in your mailbox every month when you're retired. Call Marvin Mitchell and the Compass Retirement Solutions team at 314-373-1598 to start working on a plan that can help you create the monthly income you'll need in retirement. Call 314-373-1598 right now and schedule a visit with Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois.
Now, back to the Annie Frey Show. Real talk for real people. 97.1 FM Talk.
What the heck is this? You picked this. Was this even in the folder?
It was as of a few days ago.
You know what's funny?
I'm pretty sure Annie sent this to me.
I like
For Wiggins America.
I like pop music more than I care to admit, but not this. This is the early the cheap crap pop that you can just make on a button on a computer.
Come on, this is a vibe.
Mr. Vane.
Mr. Vane.
It's a perfect song for Wiggins America.
All right, let's get to it.
I'm pretty sure that
Wiggins. Wiggins. All right, it's a weird Wiggins America because not any one of us in particular is leading it. It is based on waking up this morning to a message that Brad sent me that he goes, "Hey, check this out." And I saw the title of it, and I said, I don't want to look at that first thing in the morning. And then I never did. And I said, all right, just bring it in for Wiggins America. so set this up. Before we listen to the audio, set up exactly what we're hearing here.
So this is a group of people, and if you look at these people, you would know they voted for Kamala Harris.
How?
But, it's a young, white, liberal women.
Okay.
Maybe some dudes that you're like, oh.
Dyed hair.
Yeah, dyed hair. Some older people there too, but yeah, they're all lined up on the shore. It looks like Navy Pier up in Chicago on Lake Michigan, and they're kind of like looking out over the lake.
So it's a scenic view.
Yeah, very pretty.
How many of them are there?
Oh gosh, there has to be at least 50 or 60 people out there.
So it's not a small group.
No,
of people.
it's not a small group. It's a large enough group that the organizer has a bullhorn to use.
And the organizer is giving them orders?
He gives them a command. It's like 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
And then they're all supposed to do this.
Okay. Go ahead. Oh, am I playing?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, here we go. They all do this when told start.
2, 1.
That was the audio Brad pulled. Here's the audio I pulled. Thank you very much. We'll be here until 3 o'clock.
And that's Wiggins America.
And that's Wiggins America. Thank you very much.
When in reality, I actually pulled both of them.
Okay, fair. But I asked you to. Do I get credit for that?
You did. You do.
I looked this up. Yelling therapy?
Yeah, so this organization is called Scream Club Chicago. It's got a website. It's thescreamclub.com if you guys want to go check it out. I'm looking at it right now. And basically,
everybody's rushing the website.
Yeah, this family, this couple, and this is going to make me cringe when I read this. He says, "We're Mannie and Elena, partners in life and growth. For 2 years, we did long distance dating before Mannie moved to Chicago from Los Angeles. Mannie, at the end of 2024.
I get it.
But basically, what this is a group. They meet weekly for an emotional release. They call it an emotional release gathering. And basically they go and they take all their stress and they scream it out over Lake Michigan.
Does it have to be over the lake?
Well, that's where they meet. So I'm assuming, like, I don't think you want to go like in downtown Chicago and just have a group
It's
of
at the
people.
Bean.
Yeah, at the Bean.
I don't like you, Bean.
Screaming. Like when you scream it out over Lake Michigan, at least you're screaming in a safe direction. It's a void. You're not yelling at
I guess
anybody
that's
in
not
particular.
true. Like, hey, all 50 of us, let's meet at El Maguey.
Yeah, form a circle and yell at the one waiter.
So yelling therapy, I looked this up. And the reason when I saw that you had sent this, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's real. I didn't know that was a real thing. Because when I got really into Tears for Fears for about a month. And this was about a year ago. For whatever reason, I'm like, I'm going to buy all their albums and I'm going to see if they have any great songs. And I'm so disappointed over and over. I'm doing that with random bands. I just did it with Dire Straits recently. I bought a bunch of their stuff thinking, I'm going to find some deep cuts. I did it with Toto not too long ago. And then I realized after doing it every single time, no, it's just the hits that are good. There's no other songs that are secret gems that everybody's missed. And so when I was looking into Tears for Fears and Shout, I found that somebody thought that they had written the song about yelling therapy. It turns out that was not true because nothing is ever true on the internet. But yelling therapy is also known as scream therapy or primal scream therapy, a therapeutic technique that involves expressing emotions, often negative ones, like anger or trauma, through screaming or shouting. It was popularized in the 1970s by some Dr. Arthur Janoff, who believed it could help release pent-up trauma and promote mental well-being.
It doesn't really feel like it's a surprise that it came from the 70s, does it?
No, not really.
I don't see the value in this.
You know, you'd think that maybe sometimes you do just need to but does it do anything other than just the moment you feel a little better?
Maybe the moment and the few moments after, but like what it doesn't do is remove the cause of the anxiety or the stress or whatever. So whenever you're done, like, it's still there.
I would think even past the moment of screaming, it's not doing anything for you.
Right.
Like the minute you're done yelling.
You just got to come down from it.
You think people are like, at work finishing up their day like, I can't wait to go home and just scream at the freaking pillow.
I don't know, man.
Go out and scream at the lake.
Punching
or at the waiter.
pillows and hitting stuff. I did one of those break rooms one time. You ever seen those?
Mm-hmm.
Those rage rooms?
Yeah.
We went, a group of friends of mine all went to Denver. This was just last year. And we found a Groupon for one of those rage rooms. Of course, I did it on the cheap. And
of course you did.
I would do that just because.
I always wanted to do it just to see.
Just to break stuff.
But it's not, if it would be really cool to me if you walked into a normal room and they were like, hey, why don't you just break anything you want? And you're like, sweet, that sounds kind of fun. But it's not like that.
Oh,
it's a room where there's already a giant pile of broken electronics in the corner. The room is designed to be hit with hammers, so even the room isn't normal. And then they're like, what do you want? You want a TV or you want some vases? And you're like, well, I guess I'll take some vases. And they're like, that's going to cost extra.
Seriously?
I kid you not. They were like, well, you'll get a glass or a box full of glasses for free. That's just part of it. But if you want a monitor, now we're talking ahead. Hey, for $50, I can get you a windshield. And so we spent $50.
It's your fault. You should have known all this was going to happen as soon as you saw a Groupon for it.
I know.
That's like going to an escape room where they don't reset the game.
Yeah. Hey, the clues are already there for you. Oh, you want to do your own game.
So is that your preferred kind of therapy? Annie asked that in the chat here.
Oh, really? I should monitor the chat more closely.
Yeah, what's your preferred therapy?
What is your preferred therapy? No, I think mine is just talking to a counselor who loves me and cares about me in Jesus.
You mean like a normal person?
A normal person.
Got it.
I'd like to go to church, maybe read my Bible.
Here's a different trend that I pulled up just in case we needed to transition, which we do because that topic is dead. Montgomery County Police warn of a new TikTok challenge. And this is your generation, Ethan, so clearly you've done this.
Oh, God.
Apparently, the latest TikTok challenge is people just kicking in doors and running inside. Not of their house, of other people's houses. Have you heard of this?
I have heard of this.
You really have. So this is a real thing.
I've heard of it, I think, from trying to find news stories for Ethan's Sports and Local.
Right.
Not from having TikTok and seeing what's going on with the kids these days.
Well, they're catching on video now because a lot of their front doors and there's front door cameras everywhere now. So in this Montgomery County, Philadelphia suburb, a woman caught a supposed prank in action on a Ring camera and shared it with NBC 10. The video showed a group of teenagers run up, kick in her front door, causing damage, and then, not kind of yelling something or whatever, running away.
I've also seen that it goes, in some cases, a level farther than this, where kids will have either paintball guns or like those Orbeez gel guns, and they'll start shooting them at people inside.
That's a terrible idea. That is a terrible idea, because the last thing I want to do is go to prison because I killed somebody that came into my house that was it's just a prank, bro.
There's no way that you would go to prison for that.
Apparently, Jackie says online, she said, I thought it was just kicking indoors and running away. I think it mostly is. I don't think a lot of them are doing the paintball
I'm just saying
thing.
I have seen cases where it's gotten to that.
You know what sucks is that if I was a teenager in this era, TikTok trends, I'd be so on board. I would be doing that stuff. I'd be doing the planking and the stupid ones. But these are the dark side of that stuff, because that's absolutely ridiculous. And the mob action stuff, some of those I even find to be somewhat entertaining if the prank is very fun. And the key to it is at the end, does the person who got pranked think, oh, that was funny and fun?
Correct.
Because if they're still scared or they're weirded out or whatever, or they're mad, then to me that ruins the whole thing. And I'm finding more and more online when you see those videos, because people are doing them like crazy because they get lots of reaction, where you run up to somebody and there's one I saw recently that there were a little kid sitting on a bench next to usually an older guy, and a woman standing in front of her, or the kid, both of them, with a skirt. The kid would run up and lift the girl's skirt and tug on it and then run away, and then the girl would turn around and look at the guy sitting on the bench. That one is really on the line to me, because if the guy then thinks, uh-oh, she's going to be really mad and think it was me.
Mm-hmm.
It's all set up. The woman's in on it. The kid's in on it. The guy's not in on it. So that one to me is like right on the line, but there are ones that are over that line that I feel so bad for the person being pranked that it just ruins the fun of the prank. It's like late night comedy. It's like nobody's in on the joke. If you're on the inside, it's fun for you. If you're not, it's not.
That's why my favorite parts of some of these pranks that go too far in the videos, right, is when they get caught by whoever they were trying to prank. They start getting smacked around or ripped on, and then they just start yelling, "It was just a prank. It was just a prank. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's my favorite part of those, because I'm like, yeah,
and I know
beat
we're
'em down.
running out of time here, but even the ones that are intended to be benevolent, oh, I'm going to go help this homeless guy, but you got a video crew doing the whole thing. It's like, what are you really trying to accomplish here?
Totally.
Are you actually helping somebody, or are you just trying to get clicks? And oh, look, I gave this homeless guy a makeover. Now he looks like he's got a nice.
Now he looks
beard.
like a better looking homeless guy.
Yeah, that stuff drives me crazy. All right, we'll take a short break, and we'll be back. Gerri Willis is going to be with us in the next hour, talk about the Fed rate cuts, or not, lack of them.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
Tony La Russa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I
I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
The success you've already had matters at University of Maryland Global Campus because we're a school for real life. An accredited state university, UMGC lets you earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning and relevant life and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. We offer affordable tuition and online and hybrid courses. Classes start August 13th. Apply now and save with no application fee. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
U.S. officials are going to Gaza. Lisa Brady, Fox News. The White House just confirming it.
Tomorrow, Special Envoy Witkoff and Ambassador Huckabee will be traveling into Gaza to inspect the current distribution sites and secure a plan to deliver more food and meet with local Gazans to hear firsthand about this dire situation on the ground.
Spokeswoman Caroline Levitt says they'll brief President Trump, who posted earlier today the fastest way to end the humanitarian crises in Gaza is for Hamas to surrender and release the hostages. Levitt also just confirming the president sent letters to the CEOs of 17 major pharmaceutical companies in the U.S. demanding action to address prescription drug prices within 60 days.
But if you refuse to step up, we will deploy every tool in our arsenal to protect American families from continued abusive drug pricing practices.
The president's letter says Americans pay up to 3 times the price of other developed nations for identical medications, calling for steps including extending most favored nation pricing to Medicaid and to newly launched drugs. This as trade talks continue with multiple countries before tonight's deadline when delayed reciprocal tariffs kick in. Earlier, the president announcing a new 90-day negotiating period with Mexico after a call with President Sheinbaum. A posthumous promotion announced at the funeral for the New York City police officer killed Monday during the mass shooting at a Manhattan office building.
It is my honor and my great privilege to promote police officer Didarul Islam to detective first grade.
NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch says Islam's light shines on in his family. Islam's wife is 8 months pregnant with their 3rd child. The shooting remains under investigation after the gunman killed 4 people, then himself. America is listening to Fox News.
You hear that? That's Mike sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. That's because Mike was smart this time. He took ZzzQuil Ultra to fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and get the deeply restorative sleep he needs. So now he wakes up refreshed and ready to conquer Mondays.
Let's do this Monday.
ZzzQuil Ultra. Not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Still unsettled skies, a mix of clouds and sunshine going through the afternoon, and there will be a couple of scattered showers. 82 for the high. Tonight, partly to mostly cloudy, 64. A top 10 weather day on Friday. Lots of sunshine, wonderful. Low humidity, 79. Weekend is spectacular. Saturday, sunny near 80, so mainly in the 70s. Sunday, sunny and 82. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show Live, sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for HVAC services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Mannie Frey Show. Annie is still without a voice today, and we are hoping to have her back tomorrow. Before we get into the business of the news, Annie is in the chat. She has been all morning, and so, we're kind of all talking to Annie via the YouTube live chat. You can do that too. She said that she's actually just going to join the chat by video in the 2 o'clock hour if we get to 250 votes in the poll.
So we got to get to 250 by the end of the 1 o'clock hour.
So the YouTube live chat poll is, should Missouri redraw its congressional maps, congressional lines, to favor Republicans? The options there are yes, right now. And this is a big topic, okay? So we're going to talk about this with Steve Cortes at 2 o'clock. Yes, right now, or yes, after the next census, or no, they should not. Let us know what you think. And of course, there's a lot of in-between answers there. You can tell us why you're voting the way that you're voting in the chat. And we are all very, very much participating in that chat along with Annie today. And we would like her to join us, even if she can't say anything at 2 o'clock. So besides that, here's some news for you. Kamala Harris is not going to run for governor of California. Disappointed?
No. No.
You were hoping she would be governor, I thought.
No. Actually, I you know what? I care about the people of California. I know everybody's like, oh, California, big lefties. I care about them, and I would like them to have a good governor that will steer that state back into becoming the Golden State.
Which is why you're more of a Newsom guy.
No. I don't think he's running again. I
don't know.
Maybe a Steve Hilton, Larry Elder, somebody like that.
It seems to me that Gavin Newsom is clearly going to run for president. I mean, that was obvious the minute he debated DeSantis, right?
Mm-hmm.
We kind of knew that was coming. We didn't know if it come right away or if it come down the line.
We didn't know. Like when he debated DeSantis, it was still the possibility that like he could have ran in 2024 against Donald Trump whenever Joe Biden. We said, and Annie said all along, Joe Biden won't be the nominee.
I know, and I can't believe that ended up happening. Because they were so deep into the freaking process that I'm like, come on, guys. You're not going to have some black swan event come along and change things that have never happened before, are we? And then it did.
Yes.
And I said the same thing about COVID at the beginning of that. You're exactly right, Annie. I still don't believe you that Biden's not going to be the nominee. I said the same thing about COVID. And it's because I never bet on never before happened events. I always bet on, but they usually happen this way. I said when they started shutting a couple things down at the very beginning, I said, no way they're going to shut down. What are you going to shut down every school in America? I remember saying that, quote unquote. And then it happened. And I'm like, come on, this is insane. But the problem is, all of it is insane. It's not me. It's
insane.
all of you.
It was insane. And you know what the beauty, like for all the negative things that came out of COVID, the beauty of COVID is it exposed leadership for the people who were incompetent. If you were incompetent and all you were was a good politician and you got in those positions, you were exposed. And guess where you're not anymore? There's no more Fauci's. There's no more Deborah Birx. You know, all of these different people got exposed and tossed out.
Yeah. And I'm looking at polls right now because the reason I even bring this up with the Kamala Harris thing is that speculation is that because she's not going to run for governor, that she's going to run for president again.
Good.
You say good?
Yeah.
I kind of do too. The trouble is I don't really believe that she'll get it. I just think there's going to be somebody else that's going to come along because the appetite for the people and the names, yeah, but she'd lose. And so you kind of want her to run.
Let them fight. Let them rip one another apart.
Here's some of the latest polling on the Democrat side. Right now, Pete Buttigieg is leading the pack at 16%. And then Kamala Harris at 13%. Then Gavin Newsom at 12% and AOC at 7%. That's from Emerson, which is a pretty decent poll. But none of them, if you notice, are cracking even 20%. There is no front runner here, which says to me that Buttigieg, Harris, Newsom, AOC, nobody's really excited about these people, even on the Democrat side, because they're not polling Republicans. These are Democrats that are saying, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Nobody's really pulling anything. So I don't really know what's going to happen on the Democrat side, but I can tell you this. In the head-to-head matchup polls that they're doing against who appears to be the front runner right now in J.D. Vance, all of them lose to J.D. Vance right now. Isn't that crazy? Gavin Newsom, Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, AOC, all of them in a potential matchup at this moment in time. You know, we keep hearing, Trump's approval record, Trump's unfavorable numbers and all this stuff. J.D. Vance still beats all of the Democrat frontrunners.
Yes.
Isn't that wild?
No, I don't think it's wild at all. I think that all of these Democrat frontrunners still have to shake off the crazy that was the Biden administration and how far left they went. They still have to shake all that up. I've pulled clips. I mean, some of the clips that we pull don't make the air and some of them do, but one of them is a Harry Enton clip talking about, and Harry Enton's the CNN pollster, talking about how people don't even trust Democrats on foreign policy.
Yeah.
Like they're super underwater on that sort of thing. And there's so many big things going on in the world. They had that. They were all, a lot of those people were part of the Biden presidency or they were part of cheering the Biden presidency on, and they just look awful. It's stuck all over them, and they don't have a message right now.
You know, I'm a polling guy, and so I love looking at numbers, and it's a weird world we live in because now polling has been weaponized, and a lot of the polls that have been so wrong, you kind of got to overlook those because they have an agenda, and they've shown their agenda, and they've shown a track record of having an agenda that supersedes their own numbers. So I don't even look at some of those. But the ones that are still reputable are saying interesting things right now. And one of them I saw, recently, like, oh my gosh, why didn't I ever think to look at that kind of poll? It was using morning consult numbers, which are not favorable to Republicans. That's one of those polls that I typically throw out because they've been really wrong. But in this context, it's interesting to quote them because of what they're finding that is still good for Republicans. So you think, man, if they're showing something that's good for Republicans, then it probably is even better than that. And I can't find numbers from a lot of other people, but this one, it was showing the favorability ratings of Donald Trump in individual states.
Okay.
Which really, ultimately, I'm like, well, duh, of course, that's what matters.
Right.
That's what matters. The national is one thing, but and his favorability ratings aren't like that crazy bad or anything. I know it depends on who you look at, and Harry Enton's going to quote somebody, and you can find whatever you want, but they're really not crazy bad. They're mostly even, and in the states that matter, they're actually still in the positive. It was states like Ohio, Georgia, Arizona, surprisingly, Nevada, Pennsylvania. He's all running at either even, which is about what the presidential election was, or slightly up from when he was elected in November. The states where he's lost ground are states like Wisconsin, which does matter, Michigan, which does matter, but then mostly Minnesota, Oregon, California, New York, states that aren't going to go Republican anyway. So of the states that decide elections, really the only states that he's lost ground in is Wisconsin and Michigan.
And how much would those two matter if he carries the other ones?
That's a great question. If he lost, if they put a map together based on those poll numbers now, he still easily wins a presidential election, which is why J.D. Vance would still easily win a presidential election right now. It's why he's beating all of these other candidates.
You know, and you think about that because, like, when you talk about 2028 candidates for the GOP, J.D. Vance for sure is one that comes to mind, but the other one's Marco Rubio. And I wonder what Marco Rubio looks like to the people in Wisconsin and
I do too.
Michigan.
Yeah.
You know, maybe he's even more favorable because he's like as good as he's been, he's less Trumpian, and maybe they like that?
I'm saying this right now. I think I've said this on the air. I know I've said it to you, Brad, off air. And Annie, I'm telling you right now. I think it's going to be Tulsi Gabbard. Not because I think Tulsi Gabbard has the absolute best positions on every conservative issue, but because I think a couple things are going to happen. We're 6 months in. And I said this like shortly to you in my office after the election. I said, I think this next 4 years is going to be really wild. It's going to be a wild ride. And the last 6 months, I'm not even talking about that. Trump's just wild. Like the Trump world is a wild world. He answers to nobody. He plays by rules that nobody's ever heard of.
He just makes
them up. So Trump world is always just going to feel a little frenetic. I'm not talking about what it's been for 6 months. I'm talking about going forward, what we're going to experience in this country if they start trying to arrest former Obama officials, if things start coming out concerning, Epstein stuff. And I'm not talking about Trump and Epstein. I'm talking about all of the victims and other things, and who knows what that would entail.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that there's so much that's going to be uncovered. It's starting. We're starting to see the beginnings of it. That people by the end of this 4 years will be thankful because a lot of corruption will be unrooted and exposed, but they'll also be very tired. And I just don't know if they're going to say, yes, let's go with J.D. Vance now, because he's the same type of guy.
Yes.
So I could see a Rubio.
That's why I would say Rubio.
I could also, though, see a Tulsi Gabbard because she just has that kind of calming presence.
She really does.
She has a bipartisan appeal, at least traditionally. I don't know what it'll be like in 4 years.
Won't be much.
yeah, probably not. But I really do think that there's something there. And, that's why it's fun to be on the radio, is that this will be a podcast, and we can have a record of us saying this stuff. And if it comes back later and it's like, well, that was way off the mark, then so be it. It was me and COVID. Or it was me and saying Joe Biden would never lose the nomination that late.
Yeah,
whatever.
Amy's spot on there. She says, how great is it that we have such a strong bench in 2026? That 2026, I think she means 2028, but it isn't a given.
Yeah.
We don't know who the next person is because there's so many good candidates where you look at the Democrats on the other side and it's like we don't know who the person is because they all kind of are garbage.
Yeah, and it's not just that we're saying it either. Hey, we're on the right and we're saying Democrat candidates are garbage. They can't decide on anybody. They don't even like anybody. I'm using their own polls.
Yeah, there really is a fight for the soul of the Democratic Party right now. It's like, do we go farther left? Because that's what you're seeing with the Mamdani movement. Do we go farther that way? And then you see people like, as weird as this sounds, you see people like Gavin Newsom trying to moderate.
Yeah, he can't figure out where his head is because in 1 minute he's going, yeah, I think we've gone too far. And the other one, he's like, well, I'm about as progressive as they get, because he's leading California.
Well, yeah, and that's the big thing that's going to be the albatross around his neck is California.
Bobo says, I haven't heard DeSantis thoughts. That's another one.
We
don't even talk about him.
great.
That guy would be freaking amazing as president. I would love to see that. I think Annie might too. I think you might too. I know you guys are huge DeSantis fans. One more poll before we get to the end of this segment. This one's been making the rounds and is amazing. I mean, I almost can't believe it when I look at it. I've clicked on it 3 or 4 times. Every time it comes up in my feed, so many people are sharing it. I'm like, really? I almost can't believe that. This is from Pew Research, which doesn't even do strict presidential anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they've gotten out of that game because they're like, look, this is just too, they used to. And about 10 years ago, probably around Trump time, they said, we're going to do issues polling and we're going to do political polling. We're just not going to do horse race presidential polling anymore. But they do a lot of this kind of stuff. Men and women voters and how they lean toward Republicans and Democrats. Listen to what's happened in 2 years. You've heard this already.
I've seen this poll.
In 2 years, 2023, how many men ages 18 to 29, so like the youngest that they would poll, would have said that they are Republican? This is the youngest. Actually, take men out of it. Just say all people, men and women under the age of 30, 18 to 29. How many of you say you're Republican? Among men, 36%. That's kind of low. Among women, 30%. It would have been 65% saying that they're Republican or they're Democrat, and 62 of men saying that they're Democrat. So like almost 2-to-1 advantage that Democrats had over the youngest generation. That was 2 years ago, 2023. Listen to what's happened in 2 years. Now, same poll. Among those under 30, if you are a man, do you lean Republican? 52%. 52% now. That's almost switched the opposite direction from what it was. And now 37% of women under the age of 30 say that they now lean Republican. Now, the women have not moved as fast as the men, but the men have moved far to the right of center very, very fast. And let me give you some other encouraging news. It's not just the young generation.
No.
It is 30 to 49. I'm talking numbers here. I'm looking at a graph, and it makes perfect sense to me. If you're listening on the radio, you're like, blah, 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 blah. So just trust me when I'm looking at the rest of these. The numbers all shifted hard right, 30 to 49. 50 to 64. The only group and the only age group that didn't shift hard right, and even they shifted a tiny bit, was people over the age of 65.
Yeah.
They're pretty much the same as they were. They haven't moved. If anything, women have moved a little bit tiny left. But that's the only age group and only demographic group that has shifted left at all in the last 2 years.
You cannot spend years, decades telling young men that they suck and then expect them to vote for you.
Yes.
They ran them out of that party.
Charlie Kirk says Gen Z is saving America. There are other polls. I know we got to wrap here, but there are other polls that show that the shift toward Republicans has been even more stark. This one says R plus 44 for men in general. Across every age group, men has shifted to the right by 44 points in 2 years. That is almost unprecedented. I don't know that I ever would have thought that you'd see the young generation shifting right like that either. That's amazing. All right, we'll be right back. And before, we got one more segment before we get to Gerri Willis. She is a Fox Business reporter. We're going to break down what the Fed said yesterday, what that may mean for your rates, your mortgage rates, your car rates, whatever that is, in the next couple months, or the next few weeks, I should say, because there's another meeting coming up. We'll talk about all that with Gerri Willis in just a couple minutes. We got one segment to go.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-390-1164. 800-390-1164. 800-390-1164.
That baby's gone!
Cardinals fans, FanDuel Sports Network is your home of the Cardinals.
That ball was mashed.
And there are more ways to watch this season.
Holy cow!
Subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network to stream the Cardinals without blackouts.
How about that play?
Or watch through a TV provider.
Incredible!
Including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more.
He got it!
Learn more at cardinals.com/TV.
Ball game! It couldn't have worked out any better for the Cardinals.
Viking, dedicated to creating travel experiences for the thinking person, with programs designed for cultural enrichment on board and on shore. Discover more at Viking.com. That's Viking.com. Viking.com.
Family focused, faith filled, always on point. It's the Annie Frey Show.
Yesterday, I don't know if it was this exact time. I can't remember when we talked about it. I think it was the 12 o'clock hour, actually. I had a fast food quandary with McDonald's where they had given me the wrong order.
That is not a quandary.
It was. It was a moral it was a moral low.
Bro, you take your refill cup back down to KFC.
That was another one.
That's not a quorum. That's stealing.
No, it's not. Not if they tell you it's free refills. But this one is a little different. I had another one yesterday. I guarantee you, I'm not trying to do this for the radio. It's just
a daily thing.
It's my life.
He goes in there. He's like, I need content.
I'm gonna need you to do something weird. Can you just like throw the salami against a wall and then I can take a picture of it and take it in? Yeah. I need something. I got nothing at 1:23 tomorrow on the radio. By the
I need
way,
to have a philosophical conversation about you barking.
Yeah. So I went to Subway yesterday.
Okay. Yesterday or today?
Yesterday evening.
Oh, okay. That's where your sandwich this morning came from.
Yes, it was a leftover.
I had to make sure you didn't go back again today.
There's 2 Subways in my town.
Okay.
One is in a Walmart, and the other is a standalone. So I asked my son, where you want to go for dinner? He said, well, how about we get sandwiches? It was just me and him last night. The rest of the family is doing some other stuff. So I said, okay, you want to go to Subway? Because I had some coupons. Of course, this is my life. And he said, yeah, that sounds fine. I said, which one do you want to go to? The one that's in the Walmart, or you want to go to the other one? And he said, well, which one's closer? I said, well, Walmart's closer, but I like the other one better. And he goes, well, then let's go to the close one. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So we went down there. And I don't love that one because their prices are higher.
Gotcha.
I don't know why they're higher. I would think that it was cheaper to be in there than to have your own store, so your overhead would be less. But that's I don't know.
Maybe there's some sort of affiliation with Walmart that makes it more expensive because it's inside Walmart.
And I see people in there. I don't think that they're failing or anything, but I always see more people in the standalone one.
Okay.
So I would think, it's not, I don't know if it's a traffic issue or what. I really don't know. So I go into the Walmart Subway and I pull out my coupon from the get-go. I'm like showing the coupon, so I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm like, here we go. Hey, everybody.
Wayne and Garth.
Yeah. They can see my coupon, and I told them straight up, look, it's the 3 for $20 coupon, okay? And so they said, okay, that's fine. And I said, the first one I want is a tuna sub. Basic sub. My son loves the tuna sub.
Gross.
He sounds like he's robbing a bank.
Does, doesn't it?
Put the sandwiches in the bag. Stop looking at me.
I was wearing a mask. I don't know if that helped. Not a COVID mask, a ski mask.
Oh, thank God it wasn't a COVID mask.
It was cold out, yesterday. How am I going to get inside? We get frostbite. So I go in the store, I show them the coupon, and they start making the tuna sub. That's sub number 1.
Okay.
Sub number 2, I say, I'd like the chicken bacon ranch or something like that. And they're like, oh, no, that one isn't on the list. And I'm like, well, I showed you the coupon. You didn't say anything about the list. And they said, well, that one's not on it. And I said, well, what about the Subway Mega Meat or something like that, like on this other menu? And they're like, no, that's not on the list either. And I'm like, well, what's on the friggin' list? And they're like, well, it's right here. It's posted on the front of the glass. And it said, buy one, get one, only good for it. I'm like, I'm not using a buy one, get one. I'm using this coupon right here. They're like, well, the same still applies. And it was like the most basic. It was like meatball, club, salami, roast beef. That's it.
The simple ones.
The most simple subs. And I'm like, well, I didn't come in to get those. My son wanted the tuna, and that's a simple one. But I wanted 2. I wanted one for last night, one to bring in for lunch. And they were the steak ones and the chicken ones. And they said, oh, sorry. And I'm like, well, then I don't want any sub. I don't want any of these. And so I walked away, and they were already making the tuna. And then I was like, shoot, I kind of felt bad about that. Am I required to buy that after they start making it in that situation?
I think that when you look at food and the thought of wasting food, it needs to be considered that fast food is not real food.
I'm not trying to maha the segment. I'm just saying.
No. I'm saying, though, is that it feels like you're feeling bad because you're wasting food is the thought.
Yes.
I'm saying
and
that
they
fast
made that
food...
because I ordered it.
Who cares? Subway is making millions of dollars every year.
They must not be making them on certain subs. Otherwise, I could have got the Subway Club.
They don't care about it. It's not, I understand, that food could have gone, it should go to use, right? That's the thought. Otherwise, it's going to get thrown away.
Yes.
It's not food.
Let me also.
It is a level lower
I'll
of a
conclude
food.
the segment by saying this. I went to the other Subway in town, and they let me order the other one.
Good for
So
them.
it was just that one, and I felt vindicated. Vicky says, "No, you aren't. That was a stupid coupon, Ryan." See? That was a stupid coupon. I agree. And everybody agrees with me. I don't care what else you say. I'm just going to say everybody agrees with me.
Libby says she agrees with me.
But you're agreeing with me.
Am I? I
Yes,
forgot what I was
Annie
doing.
wants to know why you think you can demand what sandwiches qualify for the coupon.
I can't demand it. I didn't demand it.
Would you
I
have
said I don't want them.
Would you have expected for them to say, sorry, only these ones specifically go with it before you started ordering? Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, because
Or
I
it should
showed
say it
the
on the coupon.
I showed it to them, and they didn't point at the list right then and say, well, it's
Right.
only these.
That's fair.
So I felt like I was in the fine and doing that. I was pretty mad.
But
too.
was there a list?
There was a list.
So then you don't have a leg to stand on.
But they didn't tell me about the
Doesn't
list when
matter.
I showed the coupon. You're just being
I
vindictive
am
and
not.
disagreeable.
They had a list.
You're doing a thing now.
No, they had a
Maybe-
list.
I guarantee you, we're going to get off air and Brad's going to go, Ryan, I totally understand
That's
what you're
not
saying.
what's gonna happen.
You were exactly right in that situation.
gonna continue to tell
I
him
was
he's
just
wrong.
trying to make good radio. And I disagree with even that assertion. I think that was terrible radio, and the segment should be over now. Gerri Willis is next. Fox Business Reporter talking about the Fed rates.
They never gotta keep. 1, 2, 3, they gonna run back to me. They always wanna come, but they never wanna leave.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. And you know, your home is your sanctuary. You need to take the first step to peace of mind with a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from the #1 Generac generator dealer in the country, Generator Supercenter. We learned the hard way here in St. Louis during the tornado recently that power can be knocked out. But even outside of that, what if the power grid fails and it's 100 degrees here in St. Louis? You don't want to be that person. Get with Generator Supercenter of St. Louis today. Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com. Tell them that we sent you along.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Today's YouTube live chat poll. Stay tuned because we're going to talk to Steve Cortes about this in the 2 o'clock hour. Should Missouri redraw its congressional districts to be more favorable to Republicans? Yes, now. Yes, but after the next census. Or no. We want to hear what your thoughts are on this, so jump on Annie's YouTube page, vote in the poll, leave us a comment telling us why you voted the way you voted, and we might read that comment on the air, especially if it's a really good one. The time is 1:31, and this time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Picture perfect, you don't need no filter. Gorgeous, make them drop dead, you a killer. Shower you with all my attention. Yeah, these are my only intentions. Stay in the kitchen, cooking up, got your own bread. Heart full of equity, you're an asset. Make sure that you don't need no mentions. Yeah, these are my only intentions. Shout out to your mom and dad for making you. Standing ovation, they did a great job raising you. When I create, you're my muse. The kind of smile that makes the news. Can't nobody throw shade on your name in these streets. Triple threat, you a boss, you a bank, you a beast. You make it easy to
All right. We are looking at the Fed rate, the lack of a Fed rate change from yesterday, and just kind of questioning what's going on. I really didn't think that anything would happen with the Fed after. I mean, the minute Trump went in to the Federal Reserve and had a meeting with Powell in front of cameras, I was like, Powell ain't going to do anything. And they probably knew that, and they didn't. They didn't change anything. The question is, what does that mean for our economy? Because the reason that he's not changing the rate and the reason the Fed board isn't changing the rate, even though a couple of dissenters were involved in the voting this time, is that they're saying, well, the economy is fine, and we're still nervous that tariffs are going to raise inflation. Trump is saying, you idiots, it didn't raise inflation. We've seen inflation be pretty much flat for the last several months now with tariffs, and our economy is doing well, and you still won't lower rates. I'm really torn on this topic. I just don't know whether they should or not, because part of me is kind of excited that we still have this arrow in our quiver as an economy. If things start to go south, we actually have room to lower rates and spur the economy. I don't know if we should do that now or if we should wait or what. But here is, well, I've got the sound. I'll let Brad get to the board here. But Jerome Powell talking about the interest rates from yesterday. I think this is from yesterday.
In support of our goals, today the Federal Open Market Committee decided to leave our policy interest rate unchanged. We believe that the current stance of monetary policy leaves us well positioned to respond in a timely way to potential economic developments.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some truth to that they still could respond if things go south. I just don't know that things are going to go south because the numbers are really good. Here's Chuck Schumer talking about how great those numbers are.
And while the Trump administration will try to wave rosy headlines about the Q2 number, today's GDP number is in fact a mirage because some ominous numbers lurk under the hood.
Oh, it's a mirage. You know, if anything's good and Republicans are involved, you know Chuck Schumer is going to say that they're bad and they're temporary. But if they're good, if they're bad for his party, he's going to say, oh, yeah, remember when inflation was just transitory? It was just a short-term thing. It's not going to last. This inflation, this is like a blip. He's saying the same thing about the positive side of numbers now. This is just a blip. It's just a mirage. Here's CNN's Matt Egan.
What is notable is there was a change in the voting in this decision. Previously, in June, this was a unanimous decision to keep interest rates steady. However, in this decision today, not one, but two members of the Fed's powerful Board of Governors, they voted in favor of an interest rate cut. Sometimes we do see one governor dissent, but this is the first time we're seeing two governors dissent since 1993. And it does show how Fed Chair Powell, he's not just facing pressure from the White House to cut interest rates, he's also facing pressure from some of his colleagues inside this building.
Well, so far, I'm not sure there's anybody, even in Chuck Schumer saying that about the numbers, the interesting thing about him or other Democrats commenting on this is that Chuck Schumer is acknowledging that they're good. You know, that almost is the headline, him saying, yes, they're good, but. The headline there is, yes, they're good. The economic numbers right now are good. And a lot of that is Trump pushing the America First agenda in every facet of the globe, every corner of the globe. The tariffs are a big part of that. And there is news about the tariffs. I don't know if you're following this. I figured I'd share this now. Trump's tariffs are about to face a crucial court test on the eve of his latest trade deadlines. Probably haven't even mentioned. We mentioned the EU deal, but they announced the deal with South Korea this morning or last night. That's another big deal. They're going to avoid the major tariffs, but they're going to put another, I think, $400 to $600 billion in the U.S. economy. If every nation in the world starts putting multiple billions of dollars into the U.S. economy, things are going to look pretty good for us real soon here. But the tariffs is how he's doing it. And now there's the threat to him being able to use those tariffs at all. Canada, Mexico, China, European Union, Japan, India, Brazil, a handful of other countries are all negotiating, or the deals have been done at this point now because of the tariffs. But there was an international trade court that deemed the tariffs, the way he's using the tariffs, illegal. And you go, well, it's an international court. That doesn't really matter. Well, that's true, but it's a U.S. international court. So they've sued, and of course, it's working its way through the system. The companies that are suing and some of the states that are suing say Congress has not delegated that power to the president. And the president's justification of using it as an emergency does not meet the standards put forth in the IEEPA. His claimed emergency is a figment of his own imaginations. Trade deficits, which have persisted for decades without causing economic harm, are not an emergency, they say. The White House, though, is saying about this case that the trade deficits, quote, have created a national emergency that has decimated American communities, left our workers behind, and weakened our defense and industrial base. There's a lot of speculation right now that the reason Trump is trying to get these deals done now is that this court case could take away that power from him. So we'll watch this play out. The case itself is coming soon, and we'll see what is said, but I can almost guarantee you that no matter what is said in that case, they're going to keep taking it up, and it'll end up at the Supreme Court. So Trump's power to use tariffs will be tested very, very soon. I mentioned that we have Gerri Willis, a Fox Business reporter, in this segment. Gerri, thank you for joining us here on the Annie Frey Show.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So I was just sort of pontificating about the economy at large just now, but specifically to Jay Powell's announcement that they're not going to change interest rates. What does that mean for all of us here on Main Street?
Well, so look, I know people are struggling with credit card debt, and the average credit card debt is something like $8,400 that people are facing. You're paying in excess of 20% on that debt. I don't think Americans understand how noxious and horrible that really is. I mean, your debt just zooms out of control unless, of course, you're paying it off every month. And, well, frankly, most people aren't. So there's that. There's also, if you get a home equity line of credit or already have one, maybe you're doing a reno on your house, that cost of the renovation go higher. Now, in terms of mortgage rates, which was a big part of why Americans even care about interest rates, what the Fed does doesn't immediately impact those rates, but it does have some influence over them. And we're just below 7% right now. I know a lot of people want to get into the marketplace, buy a house, and these high rates are keeping people from it. So it's money out of your pockets when rates go higher, and that's why people care so much.
Gerri, can you explain to us why Trump is so concerned about this? Because I'm sure it's related to the economy at large and the things you're just mentioning, but it has to do with refinancing our own national debt, right?
Oh, my Lord, have mercy. There is some $9 trillion in U.S. federal government debt that will be refinanced this year. And this is like refinancing your mortgage, okay? If you have to turn that mortgage over as rates are moving higher, you're paying more for that money. Your debt is even more expensive. And that's exactly the issue that we're talking about right here. Right now, the interest we pay on our debt is more than we spend on the Department of Defense. Think about that. That's crazy. We really need to get our debt down. But there comes a point when you build up so much federal debt, country debt, that it kind of spirals out of control, and all of your payments into the federal government in terms of taxes, whatever, you name it, all of it is eaten up by making interest payments. So that's what a lot of pros are worried about right now, concerned about, is this ever escalating amount of federal debt and our ability or inability to pay those interest costs.
Gerri Willis is with us, Fox Business reporter. This may be a stupid question, but I keep thinking it. So I'm like, well, somebody else is thinking this question too. So I'm going to ask. But if they have to refinance at a high rate right now, can't they come back as rates drop and just keep refinancing it with lower rates?
Well, that's true, absolutely true. But when your debt is so massive, even if you have only a few months of debt at those levels, at those changes, it's a lot of cash to lay out for the loan. So that's the worry. That's the worry that, all of our tax revenue is eaten up by interest payments. Are we there yet? No, we're not. But we're not headed in the right direction. I got to tell you, $37 trillion in federal debt. It's just a lot for the country to handle, and we need to get our arms around it.
Yeah, and growing. Last question for you, Gerri, is what has the Fed indicated is coming next? Do they have a meeting in a month, or is it further out, and what's expected to come?
Well, we're expecting the Fed to meet again in September. So the big question again will be, are you going to cut rates? And I thought that the Federal Reserve Chairman would signal that he was intended to cut rates at that meeting when he spoke yesterday in that hours-long press conference. He did not say that. He did not signal it. So it's an open question whether we're going to get a rate cut in September. I know a lot of people are, the president included here, believe we desperately need one, but we're going to have to wait and see because Jay Powell could do anything. It's important to note here, though, I'm sorry to go on, but there were 2 dissenting members of the Federal Reserve Board who said, I'm ready for a rate cut. So it's not like consensus is 100% with the Federal Reserve Board. So we have to wait and see. Obviously, a rate cut would probably give a little more fuel to the economic fire and allow people to refinance some of their own debt.
Gerri Willis, Fox Business reporter. Hey, before you run real quick, I keep looking at the title of your book, Lincoln's Lady Spy Master. Can you just briefly explain what this book is?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, it was the love of my life for about 3 years. I was obsessed with the story of Elizabeth Van Lew. She was a Southern belle who transformed herself into a Union spy master in the heart of the Confederacy, Richmond, Virginia, which was the capital for the rebels. So she built a ring that spied on the Confederates. They were in the War Department, they were in the Navy Department, they were in the prisons, and fed information to Ulysses S. Grant. It was a fascinating study for me. I hope readers like it as much as I enjoyed researching it.
Are you a history buff?
I'm a total history buff, American history for the most part. But I was really looking for a woman whose story I could tell. And as you might imagine, women are great subjects for being spies, right? Because they can just kind of disappear in a room. People tell them things. And for that reason, they are successful as spies, collecting secrets.
That's great. Author of Lincoln's Lady Spy Master, Gerri Willis. Thanks for the time today.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
For the record, and maybe I shouldn't say this on the record, I should probably say it off, treat all ladies like they're spies.
What is wrong with you?
We're going to take a short break and come back with maybe a little book talk, actually. I'm not going to talk about my books unless it comes up.
I don't believe you.
Unless it comes up. I don't know.
I do not believe you.
I don't know. Stick around. We'll be right back.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Can you remember the last time we had a president in the Oval Office who worked so hard every day to bring wins to the American people?
Weekdays from 5 to 9, St. Louis Conservative.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Annie Frey, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Range. It's the Annie Frey Show.
Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
Of all the things we talked about today, I think I hit a nerve the most with the subway thing. Sorry. Info dude said I should pick it outside the store. Is that right? I lost the comment. Tiffany says that, let's see, love you, Ryan Wiggins, but you drive me crazy with your frugality and cheapness sometimes. Try being my wife. I'm not inviting you to be my wife. I'm just saying, try being my wife and dealing with that. Okay, here it is. Info dude. I believe Ryan should pick it in front of that Subway. He should be chanting, what do we want? All the sandwiches included on the coupon. When we want it, every time we come in.
Would you like to see some more context to Tiffany's comment?
No. Oh, okay. Yeah. She says, I'm in sales for food. Subways are franchised. The margins are very slim. A coupon for 3 sandwiches for $20. Now, this is context. A coupon for 3 sandwiches for $20 limited to certain sandwiches is more than reasonable. You kind of need to grow up. Well, I understand the margins are slim, but the problem is the Subway right up the street was fine with it. So it was just that Subway. So I think
they're franchises.
Yeah, but I'm
so
saying
that means they have different owners.
But the one up the street, same market, literally.
Same market.
Was fine with that margin.
Different ownership, different prices, different margins.
But they were okay with it. So somebody said they thought I was getting like really, really mad in that segment. Maybe I was. I didn't think I was.
You got mad at me.
Was I getting really mad?
Yeah,
Did you feel offended?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not that soft, but...
So we were doing good emotional topic-driven radio. But I guess people are like, maybe there's a lot of people out there going, man, I thought the Mannie Fresh was cool until now.
Listen, you need to follow the rules.
Sorry. I guess this is my public apology. I got to give in to the woke mob.
Bend the knee, Ryan.
You know, when Gerri was just talking about writing that book, she said, yeah, it was 3 years labor of love. I totally can identify with that.
Yeah?
It is tough to write a book. It's just hard. And it's one of those things that once you meet people who have written books, even if you read, like I've met people in my life, very few, but those who've been like, oh, I finally, at the end of this journey, they got a book published. And I read the book and I'm like, especially if it's fiction. If it's nonfiction, it's just usually topical. But if it's fiction and you read it and you're like, it wasn't very good. I still respect it.
Yeah.
Because you still did it.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do.
I've got a friend whose spouse writes books and she has to self-publish them and, talk to her about how difficult it is and stuff like that, especially like in a niche market that her content is in. But I have a lot of respect for that. I think about whenever people write books, you want it to be, especially a fiction book, it has to have continuity and you want to drop hints throughout. So it's like you have to know the story before you put it down on paper. And I don't write like that.
I don't either. How do you have you written before? Fiction?
Not fiction, but papers and whatnot. And whenever I'm writing a paper, it's a flow of ideas.
Yes, that's actually exactly the way I write fiction anyway. If I'm writing nonfiction, there's usually...
So how do you keep it consistent?
it's hard. You gotta constantly think about every single thing you're putting down, but at the same time, you gotta give yourself enough freedom to just write and let it go wherever it's gonna go, and then go with it. If you find that your character is doing things that you didn't anticipate they were gonna do, you gotta let them breathe a little bit, because you're creating a fake person, and that fake person already has a history based on what you've written about them so far. They've made choices, and then you put them into a new situation, and then all of a sudden they're doing something that you're like, that's what they would do, but that's not where I was going to take the story. You got to let them do it.
You got to let them do what they would do.
Yeah, which is weird because it's you're writing it, you're writing a fake person, but there's a history to that person. You got to let them breathe.
It's also interesting whenever you're tying together several storylines and they intersect. Like your one book it's individual people that you follow along, and their stories intersect, and to try to keep all that stuff straight would be...
And that took me 12 years to write that book, and I have a wall in my basement. I've probably mentioned this once before.
Do you have like red thread?
It is. I mean, it's like a serial killer wall with all the different plots of the different characters, where they have to be at any given moment in time, because they all tie together in the life of human. I had to say the book name because they had to promote it. But yeah, it's a bunch of different characters talking, and man, it is complicated. And it was so hard to keep it all straight that once I got done doing that full timeline up on my wall, I never took it down. It's just up in my basement.
I would leave it up.
And it's like a monument to all the work that I did.
Yeah,
it
means a cool piece of art now.
Yeah, it kind of is. But I started writing a new novel on vacation a month ago, because I was, you get away from life a little bit and you go, hey, I got some time. And I sort of rekindle that love of writing when I get a little time, because I'm just so busy. I don't have a lot of it. And on vacation, I started writing a new novel, and I still don't know what it's going to be. It's right now, it's a diary of a guy. I'll just give you the overview, and I don't even know where it'll go. But it's the diary of a guy in 1971 whose family has this old manuscript, and the manuscript itself is a real book from 1912. But it's copyright free, so I can use it. but it's a very strange book about a guy who's kind of trapped in his own house, and he goes crazy. And it's not a very well read book. And I'm like, oh, that'd be fun. And so I'm writing about like the grandson of that guy who knows his grandpa went crazy and now has to revisit the house because he's inherited the estate.
Oh, that's interesting.
And you kind of have to watch this guy as I'm writing it. Is he getting crazy too? Is he kind of descending into madness, or is he fine? But you're reading it through his eyes, so it's hard to tell objectively because you're not objective. You're only getting it from his perspective.
Yeah, he's like, did I see that? Did I not see that?
Yeah, exactly. So it's fun. I love writing books. If you've ever thought, because most people have, like, oh, I would really like to write a book, I really encourage you to do it. And I take this moment in time and say, okay, that was the day. The last day of July, I decided, I'm going to start writing my book. It doesn't mean you'll ever truly finish it, because if you're a perfectionist, you won't. You'll just keep writing it forever. But it takes a ton of discipline. Use the inspiration to start it, and then see if you can have the discipline to finish it. Whether it's fiction or nonfiction, whatever it is, you've had this passion project, I encourage you to finish it, because publishing now, I will encourage you, is easier than it's ever been.
I would imagine so.
Amazon allows you, and other options too, the option of publishing in a way that before you'd have to get an agent and you'd have to walk through the whole process of pitching the book and selling. You don't have to do that anymore. You can just write it, and then you can publish it, and you can have a book. Like it's crazy that you could have your own book in a way that you never have. Like 10 years ago, you couldn't really do that. But you can now. So take this as a word of encouragement from your friend Ryan Wiggins, filling in on the Annie Frey Show today.
Hey, real quick on that poll, we need a lot more votes on that poll. So if you haven't voted, if you guys want to see Annie jump in the chat, jump in the stream, then you guys got to get voting on that poll. We'll give you to the end of the break at the top of the hour.
All right. Should Missouri redraw its congressional districts to be more favorable to Republicans? That is the question. Let us know what you think about it, no matter what it is. And then this topic we're going to discuss on the other side of this break with Steve Cortes, not just Missouri, but all the states that are talking about doing it. It's kind of a wild thing. Stick around. We'll get all the details next.
But I flew too high.
We
without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. One question I'm always asked is, how did you become the largest injury firm in the world with over 1,000 attorneys and $25 billion in verdicts and settlements? One way was our financial strength. Medical malpractice is the third leading cause of death in America. To prosecute a typical case costs up to $250,000 in case cost. We advance them all. Product liability cases can have similar costs with an army of lawyers on the other side. Automobile insurance companies have the resources to fight. Guess what? So do we. Many law firms simply may not have the financial firepower to work up your case the way you deserve. And we don't charge by the hour. No recovery, no fee. If you have a question about your case or wish to become a client, go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer. 24/7. It's that easy. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Hey, it's Bo Matthews, and Missouri Brush Control is helping landowners reclaim their property with forestry mulching. If invasive plants and trees have overtaken your land, Missouri Brush Control will mulch vegetation where it stands with specialized equipment that is efficient and eco-friendly. Selective land clearing like this can help you maximize your property's value. Enjoy your land like you've always dreamed of. Check out our website or Facebook page for before and after photos and videos of our projects. Learn more at MissouriBrushControl.com. That's MissouriBrushControl.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
A tribute to a slain officer in the community he served. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Taps in the pouring rain a short time ago for Didirul Islam, the New York City officer, one of 4 people killed in a mass shooting Monday, now posthumously promoted to detective. Thousands of officers filling the streets in the Bronx after the funeral held at a mosque.
He immigrated to the United States from Bangladesh, and his family says he always wanted to be an NYPD officer. It was a goal that he accomplished. He did so well. He leaves behind his wife, who's 8 months pregnant, and his 2 little boys.
Fox's Alexis McAdams. President Trump will get a first-hand account of suffering in Gaza, sending top diplomats there.
Amid a worsening humanitarian situation in the war-torn territory, U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff will inspect aid centers in Gaza, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says.
And secure a plan to deliver more food and meet with local Gazans to hear firsthand about this dire situation on the ground.
Dozens of Palestinians have been killed attempting to reach aid sites. Israeli officials say aid trucks have been surrounded by mobs and soldiers fired warning shots. On social media, President Trump wrote the fastest way to end the humanitarian crisis is for Hamas to surrender and release the hostages.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. Mexico has a new 90-day window to continue trade talks with the U.S., but time runs out for most other countries just after midnight tonight when new tariffs kick in.
Based on what President Trump has been putting out publicly and what we've been hearing, he has been working the phone a lot with his trade negotiator, Jameson Greer, and they are trying to figure this all out up until the very last minute. Probably a late night here in the West Wing.
Fox's Peter Ducey. The White House will get a ballroom. President Trump ordering construction paid for by the president and other donors, a project that will also modernize the East Wing. America is listening to Fox News.
You hear that? That's Mike sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. That's because Mike was smart this time. He took ZzzQuil Ultra to fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and get the deeply restorative sleep he needs. So now he wakes up refreshed and ready to conquer Mondays.
Let's do this Monday.
ZzzQuil Ultra. Not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Still unsettled skies, a mix of clouds and sunshine going through the afternoon, and there will be a couple of scattered showers. 82 for the high. Tonight, partly to mostly cloudy, 64. A top 10 weather day on Friday. Lots of sunshine, wonderful. Low humidity, 79. Weekend is spectacular. Saturday, sunny near 80, so mainly in the 70s. Sunday, sunny and 82. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show Live, sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Time to schedule your air conditioner service. Get not just your AC, but your entire HVAC system checked for $19 a month with the preferred partner plan, and stay cool this summer. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Oh, yeah, here's the moment you have been waiting for.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom.
Annie's out. Ryan and Brad are in.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
This is the Mannie Frey Show.
We have to see what they decide to do about Texas, but I think that the President of the United States encouraging Texas being willing to do this, should be an indicator to the rest of us that that if they're going to cheat, that's not a proper way to act, that we're all going to have to band together to try to address that, at least to try to stop them by letting them know that if we were doing what they were doing, that in fact we would counterbalance, indeed take control.
Well, if only every state could be like Illinois and be as fair as Illinois. Steve Cortes, Fox News contributor, former Trump campaign operative, is here to talk about that topic. Hey, Steve, how's it going?
Hey, Ryan, I'm great. Thank you for having me. And just by chance, I'm coming to your town tomorrow. I don't get to St. Louis that often, but I'm coming in for a wedding this weekend at St. Louis, the King Basilica, so I'm excited to be there. Thanks for having me on the radio.
Oh, my gosh. How coincidental. We didn't even know. So,
yeah,
that's great. So let's talk about redistricting. I mean, this is one state we're standing in right now, Missouri. We live in Illinois. Brad and I and Annie live in Illinois, where they've already drawn the map about as partisan as you can.
Right.
But now other states are getting in on the act, like maybe Texas. Tell us what's going on with Texas.
Yeah, this is important. And by the way, I've lived in Illinois almost all my life. I finally fled because the crazies drove me out in 2020 from Chicago, which really went insane during the lockdowns and the riots and all that. So I know Illinois politics super well, still pay a ton of attention, even though I live in Tennessee now. And look, the Illinois map, which I've been posting on social media and a lot of other folks have, is an absurdity, okay? So the idea that Pritzker thinks we can do what you're doing, Texas. No, you already did it, Illinois. There is no more to be squeezed, no more juice to be squeezed out of that putrid, spoiled orange or lemon, okay? You drew as partisan a map, as ridiculous a map as you possibly could. And the primary district, by the way, the worst of all, I think, is right next to St. Louis. It's the 13th congressional district in Illinois. And what they did is, because all of downstate Illinois, probably most of your audience knows, all your audience knows, all of downstate Illinois basically is red. So to try to get one blue district out of there, what do? They drew this skinny little district that looks almost like a serpent, okay? And it stretches at the top. What would be the mouth of the serpent is University of Illinois. So, liberal campus area at U of I, like most big university towns, a lot of liberal professors and that sort of thing. So that's a blue dot on this, red prairie of Illinois. It then stretches down and, frankly, disenfranchises a whole lot of salt-of-the-earth rural Americans who live in central and southern Illinois, and then it extends down and grabs East St. Louis. Why? Because East St. Louis is mostly black and a Democrat stronghold. So between the two ends of this ridiculous, serpentine district, they're able to cobble together a Democrat majority in what, if anybody were drawing a reasonable map, would be a third Republican district down there. Instead, only two of the three of central and southern Illinois are Republican. So, spare me the indignation and the righteousness from people like J.B. Pritzker, who forces thousands and thousands of people like me to leave his state, by the way, when he pretends that he's done something magnanimous and ethical, because the map, and by the way, it's just as bad if you micro in on the Chicago area. Some of the districts that are drawn there are ludicrous. Some of them spread from the Chicago lakefront, from some of the most urban parts of America, highly, highly dense, concentrated urban areas, all the way northwest, all the way southwest to the cornfields, which lie beyond the Chicago suburbs. And it makes no sense to draw a district that way. They're sort of similarly, thin and long. So, look, the Democrats have been perfecting this game for a very long time, and the Republicans in the states that we control just simply haven't been nearly as gangster, haven't been as effective. And it's time for us to meet fire with fire, and particularly Texas and Florida, two states where Republicans have overwhelming control, that frankly didn't draw really aggressive maps. My state of Tennessee did, by the way. Tennessee went from 7-2 Republican to 8-1 because they broke up Nashville effectively, which is a blue stronghold, but they did what the Democrats did in Illinois. They broke Nashville up essentially into three parts, connected them to Republican constituencies, and guess what? There's no blue representative, there's no Dem representative from Nashville. There's only one in the state of Tennessee from Memphis, which is solidly not too far from you guys, which is solidly Democrat, but they turned it 8-1. And these are the rules of the game. And by the way, I don't think those should be the rules. There's a lot of ways that we could draw maps where they're not gerrymandered at all, where you could literally have software do it in a sensible, smart way. I'd be all for that, just taking this whole game away from legislatures. But the reality is right now, this is the law. These are the rules. And when the Democrats, show up to the fight, and they come to the fight armed with a rusty shiv ready to put it in our bellies, and we show up and say, we're going to play by Marcus of Kingsbury rules, and we're going to box you like gentlemen. No, that doesn't work. And thankfully, Republicans are waking up and saying, you know what, we've got to engage in some of these same practices as well in the states where we have earned control. That's the other thing. Look, we earned control, just as Pritzker, okay, even though I can't stand him, he earned control of Illinois. He earned the right to manipulate the rules this way. It's legal, what he's doing. It's scummy, but it's legal. Texas, Florida, some other states, Ohio, I think you've got to do the same and give us a fighting chance to maintain and hopefully even grow the House majority.
Steve, you're preaching the choir here because I actually live in that little snake district in Illinois. Okay. And yeah, it drives me crazy. But at the same time, I have to say, but these are the rules. And Illinois is playing by them at 100%. They've maxed it out. Right. They're going all the way. And now when I see people complaining that Texas might do the same thing, Florida might, Ohio, maybe Missouri. I'd love if Missouri did. I mean, we're in Missouri talking about it right now. But right. Texas, it looks like they're the ones that are on the precipice. Do you think that they're actually going to get out of the talk phase and get to the, we're doing it phase?
No, I do. I think they will. And I think Florida will as well. Ron DeSantis is in favor of it. His legislature's not as enthusiastic as the Texas one. So if I had to bet, I'd bet more on Texas. I'd bet a little less on Florida, but I would bet on both of them. I think the odds right now, if you were to make a betting market, are that both of them will do it. I'm not as confident on Missouri and Ohio, but they should. I think it's already kind of done the Illinois routine on the red side. They've squeezed everything they can. So I don't know that there are other states, but those two alone, Florida and Texas, are of course so populous and generally so red that it's possible we pick up 5 to 10 seats just from redistricting. And by the way, we have a legitimate reason outside of partisan politics to do this. There has been such mass movement since the census. The census was taken in 2020 during the panic. There were all kinds of problems with the census, even as it was recorded. But even if you take the census recording as accurate, which I don't, but if you were to accept it, even since then, 2021 was a year of massive movement around the country. People like me left Illinois. People poured into Tennessee and Texas and Florida, poured out of Massachusetts, New York, California, Illinois. And so we know that the populations have shifted significantly since then. As a matter of fact, I would go even a step further and say we need a new national census, which a lot of folks don't realize we could do. You have to do it every 10 years, but you are permitted to do it more often than that. I really would advocate for that, but that's a bigger lift. It's not such a big lift to get these states to act now. And remember, too, this isn't just about the midterms. It's also obviously about the presidential race, that matters tremendously, because once we do get a national recount, whether that's soon or in 2030, that will, of course, matter, too. And we know there's going to be beneficial shifts, our way coming then. But in the near term, when we have a very small House majority, again, the Democrats have already done this. And when they threaten, hey, we're going to do it, too, go ahead. See if you can draw a more Democrat map in Illinois. You won't be able to. You were too good, and I'll give them almost, a backhanded clap or, backhanded compliment. you did such a good job that, again, there's no juice to squeeze out of that. If anything, you might screw it up a little bit, and maybe you tip a district our way if you try to mess with what you've already done, because it worked so well for the Democrats. I mean, look, Democrats are evil, but they're not dumb. They drew a heck of a map in Illinois, and they were gangster about it, and we need to get that way. And it's important for our country. And again, bigger picture, folks out there saying, well, you sound kind of crass and cynical. I would love it if we had different rules. And there's a lot of good proposals out there, a lot of, sort of academic proposals of, hey, this is how we should draw districts. I'm all for those sensible reforms if we can ever get there, but we're a long way from that. And under the current rules, the Democrats are playing the game, like they are pros, and we're playing the game like we're a high school team right now, even a high school JV team in some of these states. All right, it's time to up our game. Let's match those pros. Let's go eye to eye with them. Let's use their tactics in terms of districting. And again, too, outside of the politics, we also have a very good justification for doing this, because even within states, there was a lot of movements. The great sorting, really mattered. But certainly between states, for example, my own district, I bet you in Tennessee, so many people have moved in. It's probably too big now for one representative. You know what I mean? So probably some of our districts should move and people into other districts that are a bit more rural. Well, that's the case in many parts of America. And so it makes sense. From a logic standpoint, it's allowed legally. The Dems have done it everywhere. We have a very thin majority that we must maintain. Remember this, if it becomes a speaker, Hakeem Jeffries, if he gets that gavel, he's going to impeach Donald Trump. And you might say, well, he has no reason to. He doesn't need a reason. Okay, the reason will be they hate Trump. He'll do it again. It'll be a third sham impeachment, and we don't want to be tied up with that nonsense as a country for the last 2 years of Trump's term. Instead, let's make sure the Republicans at least maintain their majority, if not grow their majority. And this would be a big part. This reform would be a big part of getting there.
Steve Cortes, Fox News contributor and former Trump campaign operative with us. And you mentioned Florida. Ron DeSantis in the last 24 hours has said that he would like to see a national census before 2030. So I don't know whether that's outside the realm of possibility, but seeing these states do this, it's exactly like you're saying. It's like watching Republicans catch up to the game. They've been out of it for so long. They're going, oh, wait, we can actually play, we can do this too. I didn't even realize that, but they're doing it mid-decade. Is that something that has ever been done before? Or is that the new part of this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know for certain. It certainly has not been done in recent history. That I know. I don't know if it's ever been done. It's a good question. I'll have to. You give me some homework to do now. But also, regarding the national census, the other reason to do a national census is not just because of the COVID pandemic that made it, I think, almost impossible to get a national count, but it's also that we counted illegals then. And look, this is a highly contested issue, clearly, of whether or not we should count illegals, because the Constitution does say count persons, right? It didn't say citizens. Now, I think it's clear that it was assumed that they meant legal citizens, or at least legal residents of the United States, the founding fathers. But the point is, we can have that debate, and I think we should. But in 2020, all the illegals were counted, all of them. And in states like California, that really, really matters. It matters a lot in Illinois, for that matter, with all the illegals that are poured into the state of Illinois. So I would advocate not only a new national census, but that we do it without counting illegals. It'll be tested in court for sure. I think it would quickly go to the Supreme Court, but let's have that argument. Let's make that fight of why should illegals count. And if we win and we do another census and we don't count the illegals, California is going to lose several seats at least. And that would be huge for reapportionment, as we're talking about. If you do that in combination with redistricting in these states, and now all of a sudden you're talking about, even if sort of nothing changes politically, we're just roughly where we are right now in terms of partisan breakdown. I mean, you could be looking at the Republicans winning 20 seats, something like that. So for reasons of principle, because I don't think we should be counting illegals, as well as political advantage, I think, yes, absolutely to state redistricting. I think that's a relatively easy lift. And then let's also be serious about national census, about doing another one. And again, the Constitution does not preclude that. You have to do it every 10 years. It does not say you can't do it more frequently. And we have good reasons to do it again.
Well, Steve Cortes, always love when you're on the Annie Frey Show. I know Annie does too. She's got laryngitis right now, so she's out for the day. But come back soon. Really, we'd love to have you.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'm really excited to be in your city this weekend.
Yeah. Maybe we'll run into each other at the grocery store, too.
That's right.
All right, thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Steve Cortes, Fox News contributor, former Trump campaign operative. If we had more time, there's one more thing that I pulled up here that I was going to mention. I follow, of course, I'm a polls guy. I follow one of the top pollsters for Smart Is it Smartmatic or is that the voting machine? It's something
Smartmatic
smart
was
something.
the voting machine.
But it's the top poll that NBC had used for years. I'd have to look up the name of it. I probably could real quick here. And he is a lefty. I mean, he's a hard lefty. And he said this yesterday in light of the possibility that Texas might actually redraw its districts, which I really am on record saying I didn't think they'd do it. They still haven't done it, but they're getting closer. He says, so in a state where Trump won 56% of the vote, the GOP is ramming through a map that would give them just under 80% of the U.S. House seats. They are terrified of facing the wrath of the electorate, so they are doing everything they can to blunt it. Here's the problem with the logic of saying, well, if 56% of the state is Republican, then only 56% of the seats should be Republican. It's because states like Illinois get brought up a lot. But here's the crazy one that doesn't get brought up very often. Maryland. Do you know the percentage of voters in Maryland that voted for Trump? It was around 35 to 40%. It's a blue state for sure.
Yeah.
Do you know the percentage of House seats that are Republican? Of those, 40% should then, by his logic, 40% of the seats in Maryland should be held by GOP.
I bet you it's like 3%.
It's 0%.
No Republicans.
They have gerrymandered Republicans completely out of any House seats in Maryland. So it is so, and this what drives me crazy is the hypocrisy. It's so disingenuous, especially for somebody who knows this topic. If you don't really know it and you're like, I can't believe they're going to do that. I'm mad because they're going to add Republican seats. Well, somebody comes back and says, what about Illinois? What about Maryland? By your own argument, it doesn't make any sense that you should be not attacking states like that. So it just bothers me when people who should know and definitely do know better cherry pick these little things to benefit their side instead of saying it like it is.
Did you see the map that Gavin Newsom posted? He said these are all the gerrymandered states, and one of them was West Virginia. Do you know how many congressional districts West Virginia has?
Is it 2?
2.
So I did see that map to answer your question,
Yes.
and I clicked on that map, and there was no source.
No.
It was like a map that somebody took online and just colored in with paint and said, these are the states that I think are bad. There was nothing. There was no type on it, no tiny type. It didn't have a link. It really did look like Gavin Newsom went into Microsoft Paint and just made up a map that he decided he thought was bad. I really people were criticizing him like, ooh, neat, you have the color green, because that's what he colored in these random states with. Again, this is a topic that I think is very, very important. It'll affect the balance of power. And Texas is they are being bold right now.
Yes, and there are some famous congressional people that'll lose their seat, Al Green being one of them.
Yes, Texas, Florida, Ohio, Missouri, are you listening? You need to get on board here. This is really the only fair way to do it.
They would do it to you.
Yes, they would. They
would
have done it to you.
100% do it to you.
They have done it to you. This is the only fair way, is that everybody maxes out the current system, because if only some people are, then it's imbalanced. Lo and behold. All right, stick around. We got Irfin's Blurts coming up next.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-355-8282. That's 800-355-8282. Again, that's 800-355-8282.
This year, fuel prices have been a bit of a roller coaster. Here in St. Louis, drivers finally have some relief at the pump. But when it comes to groceries and food, it's still pretty bumpy out there. Well, you know what can make your ride smoother? The Upside app. With Upside, you can earn an average 8% cash back on grocery or restaurant purchases and up to 25 cents per gallon on gas, which means there's money to be earned even when fuel prices are low. There are hundreds of nearby locations like Schnucks, Burger King, Arby's, and Taco Bell. Download the app and see why millions of Upside users have racked up almost $1 billion in cash back earned. For a limited time, get a 10% bonus on your first purchase with promo code STL11. That's promo code STL11 for an extra 10% cash back bonus. With Upside, you can roll up to a nearby grocery store, restaurant, or gas station and coast straight to cashback earnings. Don't forget to use promo code STL11. Upside. Cashback smarter. Offers vary by user and location. Terms and conditions apply. Go to upside.com for details.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid residents in need of care at home. If you need assistance with daily activities, you can receive in-home care from a loved one that lives with you and they get paid. Through Medicaid, Freedom Care allows you to choose who provides your care at home in St. Louis, and they get paid weekly. Available to eligible Medicaid members in St. Louis. Call now to check your eligibility. It can be your daughter, son, a close relative, or trusted friend helping you with cooking, transportation, laundry, and other activities in your own home. You get the help you need, and your caregiver gets paid. Freedom Care has over 7,000 five-star Google reviews and is a leading choice in St. Louis for in-home care. If you have Medicaid and want to receive great care from a loved one, go to freedomcare.com, or for faster service, call 314-597-1749. 314-597-1749. That's 314-597-1749.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort, offering small ship experiences with a shore excursion included in every port and programs designed for cultural enrichment. Discover more at Viking.com. That's Viking.com.
Rooted in faith, grounded in family. This is the Annie Frey Show.
It's the Mannie Frey Show. Ryan Wiggins, Brad Range, Ethan Hanford filling in for Annie. And again, hoping she will be back tomorrow. She just doesn't have a voice. I don't think she's sick. She just can't talk. And
she's sick of you.
You need a voice to talk. I'm just going to barrel through that. This is, I was really hoping she would be here today because this is one of my favorite opens that I've ever made for Ethan's segment. And I really wanted Annie to participate in that. But she's not here, and I got to play it anyway. So, Ethan, here you go.
Check it out. Sports and local.
Durfin Doniford's Dumpy Doos.
I love how much he gets into it.
The voice guy?
Yes.
So, is your mindset here? Because it seems like, we've been doing this now for a few weeks.
Yeah.
And it feels like the farther into it we get, the more it becomes just gibberish.
Yeah.
That's my favorite one I've ever made, guys.
Ryan's instructions just say scat into the mic.
It's just syllables that sound a little bit like the original
Durfin.
Can you play it again?
Yeah, I guess so. Hang on. Here we go. All right.
Check it out. Sports and local.
Durfin Doniford's Dumpy Doos.
I can't even tell you why it's funny. It just makes me laugh.
Well, I had to write it down. That's why I needed to hear it again, because there's no way I had that after the first try. Durfin Doniford's Dumpy Doos. You actually typed that on a script?
I know. I sent it, and he didn't even comment. He's just like, here you go.
He's a professional.
All right, thanks.
Wow. Okay, well, I guess I have to try and talk about stuff now.
Yeah.
Poor me. Listen, for us baseball fans out there, it is one of the most exciting times of the year.
This is not the Super Bowl, but it's close.
Well, the Super Bowl's football, Ryan.
Didn't know that.
It'd be the World Series for baseball. But it is the trade deadline. And baseball traditionally has had pretty crazy trade deadlines. There's a lot of action that happens, more than I would say most sports. So, the Cardinals, unfortunately, not being the competitor that, well, I don't know if people hope they'd be a competitor or not this year. They haven't been very good this year, unfortunately.
Would you say that they are a very, very high competitor in the hot stove league?
The Cardinals?
What? I don't even know what you're trying to ask.
I'm not sure either. Why don't you just keep going?
He's like, hot stove, that's a baseball word. I'll use that.
I kind of did do that.
So the Cardinals, it became kind of clear within the last week or two that they were going to be selling at the trade deadline. They had several guys that were on expiring contracts that it was pretty obvious they were not going to try and re-sign. The most notable one being their closer, Ryan Helsley, the 2024 National League Relief Pitcher of the Year.
That guy went quick.
So yesterday, Helsley got traded to the New York Mets, and the Cardinals got a few prospects back. And just if you're not familiar with Ryan Helsley and how big of a piece this is to move on from, last year Helsley broke the franchise record for total saves, 49 saves in 53 opportunities, which is pretty impressive. So the Cardinals move on from their full-time closer. He had also been the longest tenured Cardinal. They drafted him back in 2015, and now he is a New York Met. In return, the Cardinals get several prospects, including Jesus Baez, Nate Dom, and Frank Elisalt. Frank Dom, D-O-H-M. Dom,
Okay.
Dom.
What's the analysis of these guys? Do they get something good in return?
So, I'm not going to go super deep into this.
Is it good? Is it good?
It feels like a pretty good return. The thing about Helsley, right, is because he is going to be he's going to be a free agent this upcoming season, is you're only guaranteed to be trading for him for a half of a season, for a playoff run, basically. So maybe some other guys out there that you have a little bit more control over, you'd have them for a couple more years, they'd be a little bit more valuable. So for what the Mets are getting, a lot of people seem pretty happy with the return the Cardinals got. Baez enters the Cardinal system as their 6th-ranked prospect, Dom as their 15th, and Elisalt is not ranked. All these guys are still in the low levels of the minor leagues. They're all in single A still, so it's going to take them a little while to get to this level. But we know that the Cardinals traditionally have been a team that's been a lot of their success comes from their minor leagues and how they're able to develop, and that's been an area of the Cardinals that has not worked for a while now. So this feels very much so like let's try and build up the minor league system again with this deal. So hopefully these guys end up panning out.
When you say a little while, what are we looking at?
Man, it's so hard to know, right? Because every player's time for development is different.
I would not how long until they're in the majors.
I would not expect any of these guys to be up in 2026. Perhaps if one of them is on a faster track, we could see one of them in 27. You're probably looking more realistic at 2028, if I had to guess for some of these guys.
If you are wrong about this, is your career over?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
The Cardinals historically had been a team that was slow to bring up prospects. Is that correct?
No,
but they're a little bit faster now about that.
Not necessarily. They have traditionally, I think, done things in a very conservative fashion. They've never been that team to go out and do the crazy thing or jump to the conclusion. So yeah, a conservative organization as a whole is how I would word that.
That's the big trade. I saw that yesterday night. I was kind of interested to see what you said about the prospects because I hadn't really looked it up. But was there anything else happen during the show today? Because I know we're getting close here.
So last thing I'll say real quick about them is Baez is a third baseman, can play the middle infield. The other two are pitchers and strikeout pitchers, which is good. The Cardinals need more of those. As far as the other trade that happened last night, Steven Matz got traded to the Boston Red Sox for Blaze Jordan. He was the number 17 prospect in Boston system. He's now our number 19 prospect. A power guy. This is a guy that a lot of people say there's a lot of upside to. He's a first baseman, third baseman, and we'll see what happens with him. He's going to be in AAA now, so he's a little bit closer to the majors. Has been a bigger name prospect at times during his career. He needed a new scene. So I think the Cardinals are hoping that he's going to be someone that can bring some promise here, maybe even by the end of this year or potentially next season. Those are the two trades the Cardinals have made up to this point. They're still expected to trade another relief pitcher in Phil Maton here in the next couple of hours. The deadline is at 5 o'clock Central Time. They're not expected to trade any of their big-name guys. Doesn't look like Nolan Arenado's going anywhere, or Sonny Gray, Wilson Contreras. So it looks like they're going to just be sticking with trading just these three guys.
No trade clauses? Is that what's holding that up? Or?
Mostly. That's mostly what's holding those up, as well as those are some big contracts. So people would have to be paying a lot of money to those guys.
Publicly, they're going to say, well, we're just trying to contend for next season. But is that the goal? Like, now that you've seen what they're trying to do, are they intending to be a playoff contender in 26?
Going into 2025, I genuinely believe that was their goal, was
26.
I think that, unfortunately, that's probably been pushed back to 27 because so many of their bigger named prospects in the minors, specifically pitching, have dealt with a lot of injuries this year. So their development has been pushed back. So guys that they thought would be able to contribute next season probably aren't going to be able to as well. So we're probably looking more realistically at 2027 for the Cardinals being a legitimate contender.
I mean, I don't like to hear that, but that's an honest answer. So
and the thing that sucks is that, like I said, it's in large part because of injuries, right? It's not like it's been a poor handling of anything, it's an uncontrollable. So we'll see what happens this offseason. John Mozeliak, his final trade deadline, the Cardinals president of baseball operations, will be taken over by a new guy, Chaim Bloom, in the offseason. So who knows what he'll end up doing and what the team could look like in 26.
That's the big change for 26, right?
Huge change. And it's a reason why we're seeing the Cardinals really only trading these three guys probably, is because there's kind of there's not one leader right now. It's a transition right now.
You are good to have on days like this, man. I give you a lot of hard times about everything, but you're really good at this.
Thank you.
So thank you for that report. It is 2:34, and we have a couple segments left before we get to the Mark Reardon Show. Guess who's coming in next? It's Trisha, because it's Thursday. It's time for Annie, Are You Okay? And I am going to tell you how Annie would feel about all these stories.
College football summer is no time to slouch because we are taking you to school on the Cover 3 podcast, part of the CBS Sports Podcast Network. It's time for our annual summer school series as we take time to break down some of your favorite teams with experts and insiders who know these depth charts from top to bottom. But summer school is just extra credit as we go through positional drafts, player rankings, and more. Follow and listen to the Cover 3 podcast on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Frey, and Mark Reardon, along with Bob and Tammy Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Tuesday, August 5th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Here are Bob and Tammy with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired? Do you have your personalized income plan in place? Would you like to learn why linking to the market is much safer than owning the market? And how in 39 years we have never lost a penny of our clients' money?
Would you like to learn how to automatically lock in your market gains every year without having to sell? Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any future losses? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg and join the official financial advisors of my show, Bob and Tammy Kershaw, at the Frontenac Hilton, Tuesday, August 5th at 6:30. Go to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com. If it's time for new windows, there's only one place to call. That is Window World. Mark Cox here. Call my friends at Window World at 314-993-1800 for your free estimate today. If you have any questions, they'll be glad to send someone out to explain all of it to you. You can even schedule right online at windowworldstl.com. You know, there's a lot of high-interest financing out there, but here's what Window World's doing. Right now, they're offering 18 up to 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. You can't beat that. You also get a lifetime warranty that covers all of the parts, the glass breakage, and labor. Who else stands behind their product like that? Over half the appointments Window World will set this year are from previous customers or referrals from those customers. That is a testimony to their customer service, their quality, and their commitment to creating loyal customers. That's what you get with Window World. Call them at 314-993-1800, windowworldstl.com.
Oh, yeah, that's where I'm supposed to talk. The YouTube live chat poll today, should Missouri redraw its congressional districts to be more favorable to Republicans? The options being yes now, yes after the next census, or just no in general. So go and vote on the Annie Frey Show YouTube channel, and we're going to be sharing those results in just about 20 minutes or so. So be sure to get those votes in. The time is 2:37. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Cutting through the spin. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
I was genuinely praising Ethan at the end of the last segment.
No, you weren't.
Are you really? That was what I was going to ask you, because Annie gets on here and says, he's good every day, Ryan. As if I were saying to you, yeah, you did a good job today, but most days. And I was genuinely trying to tell you do a good job. I wanted to know if you took it that way.
It's fine. No, I believe you now, but, I'm not going to lie. I did wallow in self-pity a little bit during that last commercial break.
We're back to this.
Don't wallow.
We're back to everybody joking. And I was just trying to have a tender heart-to-heart, as I do pretty frequently.
Here's the problem, Ryan. No one ever believes you when you do that because when you tend to do it, it tends to be fake.
Trust is earned. Yeah.
I've been with you guys for a long time, and I guess you burn a bridge enough and nobody wants to walk over it. You're probably right. All right, it's time for Annie. Are you okay?
And now it's time to play Is Annie Okay With This?
Well, hello, everyone.
Hello.
And
hello, Tricia.
Annie on the chat. Firefighters rescue cow from Oklahoma swimming pool. Firefighters in Oklahoma were called to a resident's home where a wayward cow had wandered onto the property and plunged into the backyard swimming pool. While I was getting my coffee, my wife said, "Gordon, there's a cow in the yard," the homeowner said. The cow soon found its way into the couple's 4-foot-deep above-ground pool. Firefighters arrived soon after. They used some chains and a truck winch to escort the cow back to dry land. Annie, are you okay with cows swimming in residential pools?
Annie is fine with that. I have to ask, though, how did the cow get... I know somebody who... Hey, Annie just tuned in on the live chat. She can just nod yes or no. And she says no, she's not okay.
I still think that even though she's here, that Ryan should answer for her.
Oh, I will.
Okay.
Don't worry.
All right.
But I just had a family member install a pool, and they went through the whole process with the city and the county and the state and the federal government and international courts, where they had to get a fence around the pool. Like, it's a mandatory law that you have to fence in your pool.
Did they live in Oklahoma?
No. But I thought it was. I thought this was everywhere.
That's
maybe
a very
not
specific question.
Rural Oklahoma. Maybe they don't have to have a fence around their pool.
Fences don't always stop cows.
Or was it like the cow jumping over the moon?
The cow may have jumped over the moon fence.
Oh.
Into the 4-foot-deep. The above-ground pool part is what got me here. But
yeah,
you say Annie's okay with cows swimming in.
Yep.
Cool.
Was it one of the...
You're done.
Okay.
North Carolina gamers shocked by lightning while live streaming. A Twitch content creator in North Carolina was recently shocked by lightning in front of a live online audience. Christian Howard, also known as Crispy Mate, is seen at his computer when his webcam glitches.
Howard. Oh, Crispy Mate.
Crispy Mate, that's the one. He then quickly removes his headphones, throwing them to the ground as he jumps out of his chair. He explained the sensation. Imagine you're in the front row of a heavy metal concert and the drummer just hits one good beat and the bass hits really well. Imagine that in both of your ears. But then also somebody asks you to pull a gum stick gag toy and you get that little zap.
Wow.
Annie,
very specific.
Are you okay with gum stick gag toys?
No, she wants real gum.
Annie does love gum and chewing.
Big
She
fan.
loves it when other people chew
fan.
gum.
Yeah, the minute you started doing a gum story, I'm like, oh, Annie is going to love this.
Yeah,
Her favorite.
She said if she were queen for a day, she would make it mandatory that everybody chews gum.
That's one of the things that she said.
She for sure said that.
Whenever I'm trying to find a topic for Wiggins America, and I'm just like, gosh, I got nothing. I just type in gum, and then I hit news. and just see what comes up. Because I
Hits
know
every time.
If I just mention it, she'll just go, the whole segment.
For the many
Yeah, thank you. Are you freaking? Yeah. Good job. Good job.
You're done.
I'm leaving.
Gen Z are celebrating Halloween in July as new spooky holiday goes viral. Summerween, a new holiday inspired by an episode of a Disney cartoon,
Sounds dirty.
has gained popularity. Celebrated in the summer months, Summerween, I can't even with you,
Not mature enough for this
features
conversation.
Halloween motifs with a seasonal twist, such as carving melons or pumpkins instead, or pineapples
now
instead of
come on.
pumpkins.
We said it's dirty, and then you go to melons.
I know. I heard it as soon as it came out. Brands have embraced the trend with themed collections. Annie, are you okay with cartoons?
Yep.
Only if they involve melons.
She
Summerween.
says yes via me, and online she also says yes. Because
Wow.
sometimes those things
Coming
don't
together.
always match up, but in this instance they did.
Victory.
All right, this is the last one.
Okay.
High Noon Recall warns that certain Celsius energy drink cans may mistakenly contain alcohol.
Does anybody drink energy drinks in this room?
Yeah, from time to time.
Do you guys?
Yeah.
I never ever do. I'm so afraid of them.
Brad and Ethan raised their hands.
Yes.
Just had to clarify that for.
You should say something.
We raised our hands.
So
like
Ethan shouldn't.
all the people could see us.
I
that
would
off.
prefer a cup of coffee or an iced coffee or something like that.
Me
but
too.
sometimes, if there's nothing else, they've got Celsius in the
Little
kiosk
to-go
over there.
market.
So yeah, so this is interesting to me.
Calling it a labeling error, High Noon Vodka Seltzer has voluntarily issued a recall after certain packages of High Noon Beach Variety 12-pack cans were sent out containing Celsius Astro Vibe and Sparkling Blue Raz Edition cans. The recall was initiated after a packaging supplier error allowed for empty cans of Celsius to be mistakenly shipped to High Noon, where they were then filled with the brand's signature vodka seltzer. Annie, are you okay with High Noon Beach Variety?
Yeah. Yep. She didn't even respond. I was waiting for her because I don't know. I don't even know how to make that funny. Oh, she says never had it. She's shrugging. We're all just shrugging.
Indifferent?
You suck at this.
Indifferent. Oh, I'm terrible at this. I'm only good at it when I can make fun of it.
What about you? I mean, you're a White Claw guy, but how do you feel about the seltzers?
You like White Claws?
Specifically the beach variety.
Great. This is not. You're new to this. This is a old historic Annie Frey lore that apparently everywhere I go, I'm always holding the White Claw, and I got a sideways visor on, and I got my glasses flipped up or whatever, and none of it's true. I've had one White Claw one time, and it's become this whole thing, and now I guess it's back.
But that other stuff was true
Do
with
I-
the visor and the glasses.
Do I believe you or Annie Frey saying that you are a huge White Claw fan?
Look, what she's saying right now is also technically true.
Which is, and a fanny pack that says "Celebrate Becky" on it.
I do have a fanny pack that says "Celebrate Becky." I do have that. And yes, I wore it to Disney with the crew when we went.
Why?
Because it was the only fanny pack I had. You need one to go to the theme park.
I think he's asking.
Okay, look, some of that's true, but it doesn't mean that it's who I am as a person.
Trisha, if I happen to bring a...
Well, that went about as well as it could have, except for the part where you made fun of me.
I'm leaving.
All right. Almost done. We'll be right back.
Mark Cox doesn't fake it. He's lived it here in St. Louis. Pro-freedom, pro-family, pro-truth. If it matters to Missouri, it matters to Mark. Mark Cox, mornings on 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Are you nearing retirement and don't know if you have enough money saved to retire? That is scary. Do you have a written retirement financial plan in place? Well, when it comes to retirement planning, the trusted team at Financial and Tax Architects are the best. They've helped people all over St. Louis retire with confidence. And that's what you want. You want to retire with confidence. Now, they offer a one-night, 2.5-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. They hold these at colleges over the St. Louis area and in Illinois. No cost, no obligation, just learning. And at this class, you learn how to avoid costly mistakes, how to maximize your income, how to reduce taxes in retirement. So call them today, 314-888-5101, or visit fta-ria.com and take the first step toward a smarter retirement. 314-888-5101.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Smart talk, strong values. This is the Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Getting a visual feast if you're on the stream right now. And I'm not even going to tell you why. You just got to log in to see, because it's pictures of mostly me, posted by Annie in there.
Pictures of most of you.
They're pictures of me doing things that I figured I would regret later and do. Annie, are you going to be back tomorrow? Yes or no? She says she's not sure. She's on the live stream. She still can't talk, and we still can't hear you, even if you are talking. Because of my foray into the fast food world the last couple days.
You're picking fights with fast food companies.
People have said that they either love that I'm frugal or they hate that I'm cheap. And I don't really know always the difference between the two. So I've got this article here from moneyrates.com that says the difference between frugal and cheap. Here's the signs to watch for.
Power through, Ryan.
Pressuring people for freebies. That would be the first one. If you pressure people for freebies, then you are probably cheap, not just frugal.
So, like, when you go in with a coupon saying that, hey, I should be able to get this, and they're like, that's not on the list. And you're like, but you didn't show me the list.
I wouldn't say that would fall into that category. I would say that was just following the rules, not asking to break the rules.
You were asking to break the rules.
No, I was not. I asked them if I could have those sandwiches, and they said they're not on the list. And I said, I didn't even know there was a list.
And they're like, here's the list.
And they said, here's the list. And I said, no, thank you. And I left. How about stealing? That one's on this list. Sometimes in their zeal to save a buck, individuals go from breaking the rules to breaking the law. They may borrow their neighbor's Wi-Fi, watch pirated movies online, or even cheat on their taxes. These things not only mean you are cheap, but they can also, particularly in the case of cheating on your taxes, do more harm to your finances than help them. Yeah, I would say that is a sign of being cheap. If you're willing to steal.
Well, they define stealing a little bit differently than some people would, because people would say, oh, no, that's not stealing.
You know what drives me crazy is the videos that you're seeing online now of people just boldly stealing things from stores. I just saw one of these this morning. A girl steals something from a store, attempts to run out of the store, and this is probably in a metropolitan area, because I don't see this here as much, like a big metropolis, where they have a button they just hit, boom, and it locks the door. And then the person who stole is just stuck. And she's yelling like, open the door. And he's like, no, you just stole. And she's like, no, I didn't. I can't even get out. And I guess that's technically true.
Put it back.
But calling the authorities and saying, come get this person they tried to steal from me, and them denying it, but they're right there. It's like you're so bold in your thievery that you can't even admit that you're right on camera trying to steal. Failing to leave a tip. You can debate the merits of tipping, the garbage man or teen working the ice cream stand, but there's no question that giving a tip to restaurant servers who typically earn a mere $2.13 an hour, that can't be true.
No, that's not right.
That's got to be really
like
old.
$3.14 or something.
Is expected the norm. Is there a line here where, for me, it's if I'm standing to order, I've kind of adopted that. If I'm standing up and I'm ordering, why would I tip?
What if you stand up to order and then you go sit down and they bring the food to you?
I don't know. I would still say no.
Like I think of like Edley's, Sugar Fire. They're kind of like that. You stand up to order,
it's kind of
and
a
then
mix,
you go
isn't it?
and you sit down and they bring it over to you.
What's your rule? Do you have one?
Yeah. If I stand up to order and I take care of them, I take my tray back and all that other stuff, then yes. But if there's a server of some type where they bring it out to me, I also tip at the coffee shop.
Do you ever go to buffets and tip at a buffet?
I don't go to buffets.
But if you go up to the buffet,
no.
But they bring you your drink.
No.
There's still a server. So that's where it gets a little
maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Ethan missed most of these. Said he does most of these.
I love that you just assume that.
Hoarding. If you can't bear to part with broken items because they might be useful someday, you might be cheap. Some people are so cheap that they don't want to spend money ever on anything, so they save everything.
And you're saying I do that?
No, I don't know. I'm asking you.
No, I do not hoard.
I do not hoard either.
I
can't say I never hoard anything.
I got a big old tote right now that's been sitting in my room for several months that I'm like, can we get rid of this stuff? And the wife she hasn't done it yet.
Tell me if this is hoarding. I will get a new item or whatever, and I won't throw the box away. I'll unbox it, and I'll get the item installed, usually electronic of some sort, and I set the box out in the garage, and then I'm like, I'll throw that away once we're sure that everything's working so I don't need to return it. And then I just don't because
Plus,
I forget.
you never know if you can get in the box and be pushed around in it for fun.
I don't feel like that, but that's a good point. But I just don't fit inside flat screen TV boxes.
Ryan, did you ever go through any point where your kids were more excited about the box than what they actually got for like Christmas or birthdays?
Yeah, for a little bit. But generally speaking, none of us go through phases because we don't grow as people. Not paying your fair share do you conveniently forget to have cash every time you go out with friends? You're in this. We're past this, but there was a phase that I know whenever we'd go out, you'd have a couple friends who were like, you guys got me on this one. And you'd think I was that guy, but I was not that guy.
You were definitely that guy.
I was not that guy, but have you
when
ever
you
met
were
that
16?
guy? Well, maybe when I was 16.
I may have done this a time or two when I was in high school. High school.
Was it just to not pay, or was it because you forgot?
Probably a little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
If I'm being honest.
So you forgot on purpose.
I had a really good friend whenever I was in high school, and he didn't have a lot of money, so I would always force him to come along and pay for his food just because we liked hanging out with him. But never had friends that were really like, no, I don't have any money. Oh, I forgot my wallet.
Of course, you look great in that story. Let's just end that topic right now before Brad comes off looking like the king of the world. YouTube live chat poll. Should Missouri redraw its congressional districts to be more favorable to Republicans? Yes now, yes after the next census, or no? We haven't really answered this question ourselves. Brad, you go ahead first.
Yeah, I'm a big yes and right now fan. That's how I vote in the poll. That's what I would vote. I would encourage you, if you are a Missouri representative, do this, because I've said this earlier in the show. If the roles were flipped, the Democrats would do it to you. And Steve Cortes said, get gangster about it. And I'm down with that. Get gangster about it. Go for the win.
Yeah, I'm a yes now too. Simply because, I didn't know it was possible to do it in the middle of a decade.
You can do that?
When Texas started talking about this, and it was kind of part of the fringe news, and you're like, is that really going to happen? And now it's part of the actual news. You're like, oh, That's a real thing. I would love to see Missouri do this. I just don't think that we have people in charge right now that would push it through. But hey, even if you don't do it now, do it later. Do it after the next census. What's the results of the poll, Ethan?
Never thought I'd hear Brad say the word gangster. 214 votes on today's YouTube live chat poll. Should Missouri redraw its congressional districts to be more favorable to Republicans? 14% say no. 21% say yes after the census. And an overwhelming majority, 66%, say yes right now.
There you go. 66% say yes. Let's do it now, Missouri. All right. Hopefully the right people are listening. Mark Reardon Show coming up next.
What's the most important thing when it comes to getting your roof replaced? Honesty, because honestly, most of us don't know what it takes to replace a roof. Mark Cox here from my friends at Correll Roofing Company. Curtis Correll is a friend of mine. I've known him for many years. And when he came to my house to look at my roof, he brought back pictures and showed me where the damage was from the hail. He worked with my insurance adjuster. He made sure I understood exactly what they would be replacing on my roof. Are they putting down felt? Are they replacing any wood? What quality of shingle are you getting on your roof? These are all questions most of us don't know to ask, so you need to be able to trust the person who is doing the work for you. You can trust Curtis Correll. He's got crews with over 20 years of experience.